the last 2 weeks, the Harwich Mariners have been hunting down the top spot in the East, surpassing the Chatham Anglers, Orleans Firebirds, and YD Red Sox to take a stranglehold on the division's second playoff spot. In their last 9 games, the M's have lost just once, but that pace has been matched by the ever-elusive Brewster Whitecaps, who are 10-2-2 in their last 14 games. Tonight, the Mariners have a chance to take matters into their own hands, as the winner of this game will have sole ownership of the top spot in the Eastern Division. Brewster has handled Harwich well in their first 2 meetings this year, but for the first time all season, the battle comes to White House Field, where the M's are 9-3-1 and primed for what could be their biggest victory of 2021. With that, welcome into the broadcast booth here in beautiful Harwich, Massachusetts for a Monday evening edition of Cape League Baseball. I'm Tyler Henry, joined by my broadcast partner Tim Foley. And Tim, the venue for this game feels almost as important as the two teams playing in it themselves. Harwich has done exceptionally here, and this feels like it could be the game of the season already.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that plays into their favor, I think, here today, because playing at a field like Stony Brook, you have an earlier start time than you typically do across the Cape, and as it shows, Harwich is 0-2 there at Stony Brook, so to be able to be at home today, go through your routines as you typically would, and be able to have the advantage of starting later, being used to things, and should play into their favor here today with how they've shown all season long in front of the Mariners fans at White House Field.
Certainly should. This is also a Harwich team that really did struggle to wake the bats up in those 2 games. No runs on 6 hits in 2 losses to the Brewster Whitecaps so far this season. But again, both of those games playing earlier in the day at Stony Brook. This game being played here at White House Field at 6:35 p.m. With that being said, there is no guarantee that we're going to see big offensive numbers tonight. We have got an all-star pitching matchup between Harwich Mariners all-star starter Andrew Mosiello, who's out there on the bump now, and Bryce Hubbard, who will be getting the start for this for this Brewster Whitecaps team. And let's go ahead and just talk about Mosiello for a moment. He has been exceptional so far this year. Kind of a guy that flew under the radar, and when he got that all-star selection, it turned some heads, but you look at his numbers, they back it up.
They certainly do. He's been definitely one of the better starters for these Mariners, along with Dombrowski and Raiselman. Just another guy who's been able to come in, get his job done, and put up results, put up numbers, and every time he's been out on the mound.
That he most definitely has. So let's go ahead and talk about the Brewster Whitecaps lineup that he'll be facing off against. Leading it off and stepping into that left-handed batter's box now, it's Alex Freeland. He'll be followed by center fielder Spencer Jones and a familiar face. It's a homecoming day for right fielder Chris Lanzilli, the former Harwich Mariner. In the cleanup spot, it's the lone all-star in the lineup today in Jake Thompson. His first pitch is off home plate for ball 1. Batting in the 5-hole, third baseman Tony Bullard, followed by DH Chad Castillo, catcher Curtis Byrne, left fielder Mac Bingham, and shortstop Trey Falcini. Mosiello's second offering just across the plate for a strike, and the count goes even at 1-1. And let's get a closer look here at Andrew Mosiello, the Oregon Duck, who today will come out and work with his usual 4-pitch mix, a fastball, a changeup, a cutter, and a curveball. Just what you want out of your starter. Here he delivers a fastball that'll miss up. Count goes to 2-1. His numbers on the season that we mentioned earlier, a 2.6 ERA throughout his 4 games. All of them starts. He's gone 17 innings this year. He has surrendered just 5 earned runs on 12 hits. And the big number, 21 strikeouts, just 9 walks here in 2021. Mosiello rocks into the windup, delivers the next pitch. That'll miss, and the count goes to 3-1.
Yeah, he's had some good control over his stuff as you look at the strikeout-to-walk ratio. He's done an excellent job, hasn't had any games where really things got too out of hand for him, and so hoping for another decision like that from him today.
The 3-1, that's a cross for a called strike. That'll bring Alex Freeland back, and yeah, you mentioned he hasn't really had a bad outing. His last outing ended in a 2-2 draw with the YD Red Sox. He went 5 innings, gave up just 1 earned run on 3 hits, struck out 3, and walked 2. It was his lowest watermark on the season, I believe, for strikeouts, but looking to bounce back in that respect here. Payoff on the way, and it'll be fouled off, and we will do it again. That'll give us a chance to set the defense here. That'll be behind Andrew Mosiello. Tatum Levens gets the start behind the dish. It'll be Dylan Phillips over at first, Max Cody at second, Zach Preisner at short, Brock Wilkin at third. Your outfield looks like this: Josh Hood in left, Jordan Beck in center, and Press Kavanaugh out in right. 3-2. And that will miss upstairs. So the first batter of the day will reach on a walk. Here is Alex Freeland. And Brewster's got the lead off in for us. Not ideal if you're Harwich. You want to have a guy who's going to be able to
come out and shut things down right away, and Mosiello is going to look to lock it back in, but not good as this lineup only gets better for Brewster as it goes along.
Certainly does. The next man up is Spencer Jones, who's had a great season in his own respect. This is a Whitecaps team that, again, has been rolling for the better part of a month and a half now, as this Cape League season has gotten underway. And The first pitch on the way to him. He'll swing on it, take it right at the second baseman. Cody to Preisner, back to first to Phillips in time. And Harwich wipes the bases clean on the 4-6-3 double play.
That's exactly how you come back, bounce back from walking the first guy. A nice pitch by Mosiello, leaves it for contact, and able to get it done over at second base. Cody, an easy scoop, that's right to him. And exactly what you want if you're Harwich after letting the first guy get on.
So here comes a familiar face. It's Chris Lanzilli, the former Harwich Mariner from the 2019 season, out here sporting the teal and white of the Brewster Whitecaps, and he will crank the first pitch that he sees, but well foul, as he is way out ahead of that one.
And you have to be wondering, Tyler, what might be going through the mind of a player like this, a guy who maybe a lot of teams didn't expect to be around at this point in time, and comes back for a different team.
Yeah, Lanzilli has certainly had an interesting path to get here. He takes a big swing and a miss at this. It was a pretty solid piece for the Harwich Mariners back in 2019, a .293 batting average for him that year, and he had an insane stretch that ultimately, and ironically, put the Brewster Whitecaps out of that last playoff spot out in the East. 18 RBIs for him, 4 home runs, most of those coming within a week-and-a-half stretch, as Mosiello will miss this pitch upstairs. Going into the 2020 season, obviously no Cape League that year, and then in 2021, most people didn't expect him to be available. He was pretty much a sure shot to go in the 2021 MLB draft, ended up not getting selected, and makes his way back out here to the Cape League. Here he'll take ball 2. So you got to think he spent a lot of time on this very field on the other side of things for the Harwich Mariners in 2019, and now trying to put away the team he helped put away back in 2019.
Yeah, just another interesting wrinkle in this rivalry that's developing between Brewster and Harwich this season.
2-2, swung on and chopped to third. Wilkin comes in, scoops it off the hop, throw to first in time, and it is a 1-2-3 inning, or rather the minimum face for Andrew Mosiello. To the home half of the first we go, here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field here on a Monday evening. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley as we get set for the home half of inning number 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Harwich Mariners lineup. 4 All-Stars at the top, and it looks like this. Right fielder Press Kavanaugh will lead things off, followed by catcher Tatum Levens, third baseman Brock Wilkin, and DH Carter Putz in the DH hole today. On a 3-home run streak, he's had a home run in each of his last 3 games. Dylan Phillips, the new addition from Kansas State, slots in the 5 spot. He'll play first, followed by MLB draft selection Josh Hood, center fielder Jordan Beck, second baseman Max Cody, and shortstop Zach Preisner. And it will not be an easy day at the plate for any of these guys. They will face an all-star on the other side of things in Bryce Hubbard. He looks good when you take him, or when you watch him take warm-up pitches. Then you look at his numbers this season, and he has been on another planet this year. Through 5 starts, he has thrown 25 innings, a 1.08 ERA. He has allowed just 3 earned runs this season on just 11 hits. And oh yeah, by the way, 41 strikeouts, only 7 walks. He is not a guy who puts men on base for free, and that's a big part of the reason why this Whitecaps team has had the kind of success that they've had this season.
Yeah, to give you an idea for how good this guy has been, the only team to beat him this season is Byrne. Everybody else he's been able to handle rather easily. So Harwich, they do have the all-star lineup. They've shown the bats in recent games, and a big task today. This is a guy who you're going to have to get the hang of, because when it comes time for the playoffs, if it's Brewster versus Harwich, you can bet that these Harwich Mariners are going to have to go through Bryce Herbert once again.
Yep, and you could definitely say that these last couple of days, yesterday and today, two of the toughest teams in the Cape League. Two teams Harwich could potentially see this postseason if they can secure the 2 seed, or better yet, the 1 seed. And it's going to be tough. But they were able to get the victory over Byrne last night by a final score of 7-4, and coming back here looking to pick up a victory over the Brewster Whitecaps. Again, it'll be Press Kavanaugh to lead things off. Hubbard's first offering is on the way, and it's in there for strike 1. If you take out that Byrne game, he's only pitched in 4 other games so far this season. He's gone 21 innings. He's allowed no earned runs on 7 hits, 34 strikeouts, and 5 walks when not facing the best offense in the Cape. Next pitch misses outside, and Hubbard, another one of those classic 4-pitch guys. He's got a fastball, that 12-6 curve, a slider, and a changeup that he'll mix in there as well, looking to keep these hitters off balance.
And keep an eye on that 12-6. It's really good. It
certainly is. Here's a ball taken out to left by Press Kavanaugh. Bingham settling under it, looks up, makes the catch for out number 1. That'll give us an opportunity here to set the defense that will be behind Hubbard today. Looks like this, starting with the catcher. It'll be Curtis Byrne, then Thompson over at first, Freeland at second, Falcini at third, and Falcini at short, Bullard at third. Max Bingham gets the start out in left. It's Jones in center, and Chris Lanzilli patrolling familiar territory out in right field. That'll bring up the catcher, Tatum Levens, who has been seeing the wall very well throughout the course of the entire season. One of the better on-base percentages, one of the better batting averages across the CCBL. First pitch he sees is going to miss down and inside. Count goes to 1-0. Levens looking to reach base, something he's done a good job of all year, as mentioned. He swings at the next pitch he sees and fouls it away. And, you know, we've kind of been talking about it as this lineup has come together, but the beauty for Harwich, they have effectively 2 leadoff guys, 1 and 2, between Press Kavanaugh, who is hitting a cool .365 this year, and Tatum Levens.
Yeah, a nice 1-2 punch for sure that any team in the Cape would want.
Levens fouls this one away. He'll fall behind in the count here, 1-2. And if you're Harwich, just trying to get through this stretch, a split would feel good. But again, the weight of this game does feel like it's coming down on both of these teams here. If you win, you're in first place in the East. It's as simple as that. Right now, the Whitecaps holding on to a narrow half-game lead. So this next pitch from Hubbard misses just outside. A tie would obviously keep the lead with this Brewster Whitecaps team, but the margin is just so close between these two.
And you have to remember, too, these 2 teams are going to face off 2 more times in a home-and-home later this season.
And that is going to be a lot of fun as Levens rockets this one foul down the right field line. Yeah, I mean, that's really the biggest task left on the schedule for the Mariners.
So it's almost like a play-in series between these 2 teams to see who gets the 1 seed and then gets to host that playoff series. Because with the way these 2 teams are playing, you know, unless they're going against one another, it seems like they're having a pretty easy time handling a lot of other teams.
Certainly does have that feel to it as the 2-2 slider just misses off the plate. Count goes full at 3-2. So Tatum Levens looking to set the table here, and yeah, a lot of the teams that typically do kind of run the East, Orleans and Chatham, not really looking like the usual threats this year. Here comes the payoff to Levens, and he will rocket that back up the middle. Tatum Levens reaches here on a single with 1 away, and here comes Brock Wilkin.
And unsurprisingly for Levens, he's able to get his job done in that second hole. And that's going to be important today for Harwich, is to have lengthy at-bats like you just saw Levens had, because, you know, a guy like Hubbard on the mound, you're going to want to try and work through him as quickly as possible and get to that Brewster bullpen so you don't have to worry about what he's throwing anymore.
So that brings up Wilkin, ever dangerous in his own right. And again, it's really is best on best. One of the best starters in the Cape League against one of the best lineups in the Cape League. Certainly the best lineup in the East. This is a very good Brewster team, but they have really kind of hung their hat on pitching. Shows in their numbers. It also shows in their all-star selections. First pitch to Wilkin is fouled off back towards that Whitecaps bullpen. So he'll fall behind 0-1 here. And yeah, we're talking about, I mean, again, after this game, 8 games left in the season. That's it. That is all that remains.
Time flies.
And it did seem about a week and a half ago like it was going to be a battle for the 2 seed between these Harwich Mariners and the Whitey Red Sox. As Wilkin takes this one to short, this should be easy for 2. They'll flip the short way for 1, back across in time. It's a 6-4-3 double play to end the inning. We'll talk more about that Eastern Division race when we come back. Still a 0-0 ball game from White House Field. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry, Tim Foley. It'll be the heart of the order due up here for the Brewster Whitecaps. Jake Thompson, Tony Bullard, and Chad Castillo. And before we went to commercial, or I should say before we went to no audio, as we do not have commercials here on the broadcast, but we were talking about the Eastern Division race. And there for a little while, what we were talking about was it looked like it was going to come down to a battle for second between Harwich and YD. That was before the YD Red Sox went on a little skid of their own. It has been not the greatest out in Yarmouth Venice. This first pitch is fouled away, and it really started in a game very similar to this one. Harwich and YD met up. The winner was going to be sitting in second place out in the East, and Harwich really took it to them 11-1. And it was so bad that the Whitecaps, or correction, the Red Sox had to forfeit the game early because if they were to keep scoring runs, it would have taken the team into that darkness zone where the game would have gotten shut down anyway. So a disheartening loss. Then they come back and lose a few more. And, well, today was going to be a big day for them when you look at what they need to do. But that is not the case. Right now, at last check, we'll get an update here. Down 10-0 to the Wareham Gatemen at home. So the Red Sox falling fast as Mosiello out for another inning of work, misses this pitch high. Count goes to 1-2 on Jake Thompson.
And, of course, if you're the Mariners, you're not really focusing on what other teams are doing at the moment because everything is still well within your control in regards to how you finish this season. 3 games against Brewster. You have another one against YD tomorrow. Just keep on winning games.
Absolutely. This pitch is in there, and Levins didn't even think twice about it before throwing down to Brock Wilkin. Strike 3, first K of the day here for Andrew Mosiello, and Jake Thompson, the lone all-star in the Whitecaps lineup, is down on strikes.
Yeah, it's a great way to start the innings. Striking a guy like that out looking, being able to be confident in your stuff early, and umpire making that call for him.
So that will bring up Tony Bullard. Another good bat here in this lineup. A solid lineup to say the least, but again, we know Brewster has typically hung their hat on pitching and also on winning some lower scoring games throughout the course of the 2021 season. First pitch from Mosiello is a fastball that's just inside for ball 1. But yeah, I mean, this is a big stretch for the Harwich Mariners, and honestly, if the score out in YD holds, you really do get the feeling Harwich could effectively put the Red Sox away tomorrow. If they lose one more in a direct head-to-head, they drop 2 more points down the order. That is going to be very tough to come back from. So yes, obviously you're not staring at the scoreboards around the league if you're the Harwich Mariners. You're focused on winning games, but that game tomorrow could be a big one for the division standings as well. So this ball's chopped back to the dugout, and that'll make the count 2-1.
Yeah, it would put you 6 games ahead of YD, assuming today holds and you win tomorrow against the Red Sox with only at that point about 7 games left. So margin of error becomes very slim for YD should those 2 scenarios play out today and tomorrow.
And that 6 games could be 7 games if Harwich can pick up a victory today against the Whitecaps. So again, if everything goes right, it could effectively be a death sentence, not just for YD, but for the rest of the East as well. We're talking about a Chatham team that is as close to elimination right now as Hyannis is out in the West. Here's a ball popped high in the air, but foul. Count will go full here on Tony Bullard.
And that's the thing, too, is, you know, when you look at how these divisions have been playing, YD, they're at 500, but that would be good enough for second in the West. But instead, they're out in third right now in the East, and it's a tougher division for sure here in the East than it has shown in the West this season.
Payoff from Mosiello, and that is in there. Back-to-back looking strikeouts. He gets Thompson on a pitch on the outside corner. He gets Bullard on the inside corner, and just like that, 2 away here for Chad Castillo.
Really good stuff here from Mosiello early on. Like you said, picking the corners, finding his spots early on. Looked good through these first 2 batters here in the second.
And he looked good in that game against Katuah, but we've seen him look better before. And I think he's had his mojo going here early in this game. He looks very confident. He's already established that fastball, and he's used it to set up his off-speed stuff on these strikeouts. He'll now face the DH in Chad Castillo. That's from the left side. First pitch to him misses down in the dirt. For Castillo so far this season, taking a look at some of his numbers, the product out of Cal Baptist hitting a cool .333. Does have 10 strikeouts on the year. Nothing too crazy there. And also has 1 home run. This pitch in the dirt. You look at the differences in some respects between these 2 teams for the lack of outbursts of runs that this Brewster team has had. They do have more home runs on the year than the Harwich Mariners do. But, of course, Harwich more content to get them on, bring them around, and drive them in than to try to blast 3 home runs a game. So this pitch is across for a strike. Castillo trying to avoid allowing Mosiello to continue facing the minimum. Each team with a double play already in this game. They'll chop this one foul. Count goes to 2-2, and now Mosiello will look for another strikeout here to retire the side.
Yeah, we'll see what he goes to here on the 2-2. Having just thrown that off speed.
Has plenty of options. We do typically see him go to the off speed, though, for his strikeout looks. Does have a solid fastball, but not a guy that challenges as often as you might see. But you never know here on 2-2. That pitch misses just low, and the count worked full here by Castillo.
Yeah, he tried to blow it by him at that one with the low outside corner, but just could not find it. Now has to place his next pitch a little more carefully.
Castillo going to have to shorten up on the bat a little bit. Looking for the first hit of the day. He will chop this one down the line into the glove of Wilkin. Backhand across his body in time. Brock Wilkin with a laser to first, and that will retire the side. 3 up, 3 down. Nothing across here for the Brewster Whitecaps. To the home half we go. Mariners looking for their first runs when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here at White House Field. Scoreless through 1.5 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Thank you so much for tuning in. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. Another inning of work coming up here for the Perpetual All-Star in Bryce Hubbard. But we have been informed Hubbard on a pitch count today. Not sure how many he'll be allowed to throw. Not sure how many innings he'll be able to go. But that's big for the Mariners because he's typically been giving his team 5 scoreless innings in pretty much any start that he goes in. So the sooner the Mariners can get to what is, albeit still a very good bullpen here for Brewster, but you get this guy off the bump and you're going to be feeling a lot better.
Yeah, I think for Brewster, they're aware of the pitch count, of course, and they're just trying to get him to go about that 5-inning mark that he's been averaging in his starts. So if you're Harwich, you try to get him out sooner than that. If not, have confidence that you have the back half of this game as well to try and get some runs across.
Of course, not a stat that is kept in the CCBL, but I can almost guarantee anyone listening at home, if you're looking at most pitches seen per at bat, this Mariners team certainly in the top couple there. We've seen a lot of very long ABs. As this first pitch to Carter Putz will miss inside. Count goes to 1-0. That breaking ball coming in at just 73 miles an hour. A lot of drop off between that and the fastball. As Hubbard gets back to work here, southpaw kicks and deals. And he gets a high fly ball fouled back behind the berm here to even the count at 1-1 for Putz.
I mean, you talk about teams that are patient at the plate. These are teams 1 and 2 when it comes to drawing walks. Brewster at 134, Harwich at 126. So we're going to see a lot of pitches taken here today. It's going to drive up pitch counts.
Certainly will do that, and that favors the Mariners, especially if they're not trying to let Hubbard go too deep into this game. Here's a slider that'll miss inside. Count goes to 2-1. That one coming in right around 90. Putz trying to set the table here with Dylan Phillips standing in the on-deck circle. What a stretch of games Dylan Phillips has had jumping into the Cape League. Sometimes guys need time to adjust. Phillips dove in at the deep end and started doing tricks in the water. Here comes the 2-1. That'll miss upstairs. Count goes to 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks like he's been here all season long with the way that he's been knocking balls left and right. It's been absolutely impressive and a joy to watch, really, seeing how he's been playing.
It's not even something that you felt like the Mariners needed. You felt pretty confident about this Mariners lineup going into Phillips' first game, and then you find out you have a guy like that. As this is in for a called strike, that'll fill the count. Of course, the perks of having Coach Steve Englert working as an assistant at Kansas State. You get the feeling a lot of guys compelled to come here to Harwich if they are coming to the Cape, and we have seen a number of Wildcats have a real impact on these Mariners seasons. Putz digs in. Here comes the 3-2. And he'll foul it away. We'll do it again, and this is exactly what we're talking about. Guys being really defensive on 2 strike counts.
Yep, now that is, I believe, 18 pitches thrown so far by Hubbard here. I mean, early still, of course, just an inning plus to this point, but something Harwich is going to be keeping track of, I imagine, as the game moves along.
He's only put away 3 batters so far, so very small sample size. Hubbard's still working for his first strikeout. Payoff again. And that'll miss upstairs. Ball 4, not something you see a whole lot of out of Hubbard, but the Mariners have the leadoff man aboard, and here comes Dylan Phillips. We said his numbers have been crazy, but let's go ahead and give them to you, because seeing them is another thing entirely. So far this season, throughout 2021, Dylan Phillips is hitting a cool .355 in 8 games. He has a slugging percentage over .500. He has driven in 10 runs. He has 3 home runs, including 1 in each of his last 3 games, 11 hits. Really nothing he can't do. 9 strikeouts to 3 walks, the only knock on him, and he takes a big cut at the first pitch he sees, falls behind 0-1.
No, he's so casual when he's at the plate. He's very professional, and you can tell some guys, they carry themselves a bit differently when they step up to the dish, and Phillips, one of those guys who comes in, handles his business, and it shows in the way that he plays.
And for the guy they call Whammer, who's been living up to the nickname, also a very soft-spoken guy. He is here to be a team player, and that's kind of the sense you get when you talk to him as well. And he will send this into right field. That's going to get down, and it is a single following the walk. Runners on first and second, and here comes Josh Hood.
And, you know, for just as good as home runs are, it's important you're able to get these contact hits, too. So certainly an excellent piece of hitting there from Phillips. Drive it through the right side and brings up a guy in Josh Hood, another guy for these Harwich Mariners. I mean, every batter who comes up, we can say another guy who's been hitting well. It really is just another guy for Harwich who's excelled, especially recently.
Yeah, there is some kind of accolade to give for every single player, and it extends into the Harwich bench as well. I mean, you're talking about, you got 5 All-Stars, you've got an MLB draft pick, you've got guys with some crazy numbers, and you've got some great defensive talent on this team as well. You got a couple of guys like Cody and Preisner. Cody has been seeing the ball as well with the bat in his hand, which is another thing that's really helped the Mariners. So, you know, early in the season, we were talking about a lineup that had 4 or 5 really solid guys. Now we're talking about a lineup that's got 8, 9, depending on the night. There is no place to hide if you are an opposing pitcher, and it's part of the reason the Mariners have been able to really come back and string big run performances together. Right now, it's Hood at the plate, takes a big swing at the next pitch he sees, fouls it back to the screen here, and, man, you really do just get the feeling, no matter who they throw in that 9-hole, Cody has put up some really solid numbers recently, and it's affected his totals more than I expected. You and I were kind of going over this before the game started. We'll talk about Cody a little more when his spot comes up in the order, but his averages have really seen an uptick over these last couple of games where he's exploded.
They have. Especially recently in a game he played against Hyannis the other day.
Yep, seemed like everybody got in on the action there. As Hood will watch this one up and away, count goes to 2-1.
Yeah, of course, all those crazy numbers that came out of those last 2 games Harwich played against Hyannis. Who didn't have some career games.
And that went both ways.
Exactly.
Harwich's 18-run outburst that allowed them to slip out of town with a 2-run victory. Hood takes a good cut there, fouls it away. Count goes to 2-2, the future member of the NC State Wolfpack. And I think the other thing that's interesting with this Harwich Mariners team, we talk about all the talent that this team has. We talk about, you know, the guys seem to have a really good thing going within the clubhouse. But this is also a team of just really good guys. This is a team you love being down there around the dugout. You love talking to the guys in the bullpen. I mean, everybody's always got a smile on their face. They're very competitive, but this is just a group of really upstanding young men. And you can tell in the way that they play. It transitions over to that a little bit as well.
And it feels like a trend from the way that Coach Englert really helps to run this squad year in, year out.
Certainly does. 2-2 smashed out to center, but right at Spencer Jones. He'll settle under it and make the catch. Runner does tag. There won't be a throw. So advancing 90 feet here is Carter Putz, and Harwich has runners at the corners for Jordan Beck.
Now batting for your Harwich
That's what you do if you're Josh Hood. Of course, you can't get on base, but it's especially important to have a productive at-bat, and that's exactly what he did there, moved the guy up, and having a bit of a conversation here with Jordan Beck, so especially being helpful in that he's communicating with his teammates as he's heading off the field about something that maybe he can tip off in regards to the pitcher and what he throws.
Yeah, you see a lot more communication between these Harwich Mariners on the way back to the dugout than you do from a lot of other teams that we've seen this year. Obviously, we've had more time to watch Harwich, but it's just something that we've observed. You watch guys, even after a strikeout, they don't hang their head. They look up to their teammate in the on-deck circle, and they usually give him a little hint here. As Beck is behind that one, falls behind in the count here, 0-1.
Yeah, it's a good start at the at-bat for Hubbard. Blew it by him at 91 miles an hour. Beck was not ready for that.
And again, 91 down to 72 on that breaking ball. A lot of good movement. You can see why that's been so lethal for him so far this year. But he's already hung one. Dylan Phillips tagged it out to right field. See if Beck gets one as well. As he fouls a fastball away, he'll fall behind now 0-2.
And that same pitch, 91 towards the top of the zone. Beck able to make an adjustment on it, fouled it off, but still trying to straighten it out here.
Beck, a guy who's been turning things around little by little as well. A guy that, along with Zach Preisner, went into the batting cages. We heard that in an interview previously this year that you did, and they took a ton of swings, and both guys have been seeing the ball a lot better ever since that. That game down at McKeon Park in Hyannis, one of the other kind of crazy games that we've seen so far this year. But yeah, since then, both guys have kind of remained mainstays in the lineup and really helped fill in the cracks here for the Harwich Mariners. 1 ball, 2 strikes, the count right now. Back at the plate, runners at the corners. Hubbard looking to get out of the inning unscathed. He has not given up an earned run in at least 2.5 weeks. Not since that first appearance against the Bourne Braves. And that game all the way back on June 21st, what feels like a lifetime ago. So we're talking about this game now on July 26th. So it's been about a month since Hubbard gave up an earned run. Harwich with an opportunity to potentially be the first team to do that as a pickoff move over to first, just trying to check the runner. That'll keep Dylan Phillips close. And for all the wonderful things that we love about Dylan Phillips, he does have some speed too. We haven't had a chance to see him put it on full display. You think, oh, power-hitting first baseman, but he's playing out in left field yesterday.
Yeah, and important to have a guy who's that diverse because you never know what you might need come down to a late-game situation.
Strikeout could go a long way for Hubbard. The 1-2, there's that 12-6 curve, and oh, you could see it from up here. That thing dropped off a table for out number 2.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of the nastiest pitches I think we've seen this season. That thing just dropped, and Beck could do nothing but stare at it.
I mean, that pitch quite literally started at the eyes of Jordan Beck and dropped right into the heart of the strike zone. So that's 2 away here, and here comes the aforementioned Max Cody, who in that game against Hyannis, 3 for 4, 5 RBIs, and he's been seeing the ball better recently. We mentioned that. It's not just that one game against Hyannis. He's been playing well throughout his last couple of games. He'll flare this one out to right, but unfortunately for him, right at Bingham, and that'll be the 3rd out of the inning. So that'll do it. Harwich Mariners fail to score. They get a runner 90 feet away, but can't bring anybody across. We're knotted up at 0 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. Another inning of work coming up here for Andrew Mosiello, who has looked so far so good against this Brewster Whitecaps lineup. He has faced the minimum. He has retired 6. He has faced 6, and now he'll get the bottom 3 in Curtis Byrne, Mac Bingham, and Trey Falcini. But don't let the numbers fool you. This is a Brewster lineup. Again, they don't put up monstrous numbers, but they are dangerous 1 through 9. A lot of good contact guys, and a lot of guys that do have power to park one over the fence at any given point. First pitch fouled away here by Byrne.
And that's something you always need to remember, too, is that we're on the Cape. This is the best league. You're going to be facing guys night in, night out. No matter what spot in the lineup they're in, they're here for a reason. So Mosiello, a professional in his own right, not going to forget that.
Yep, and a power 5 arm. As he will miss this next pitch, count goes even at 1-1, facing off against the aforementioned Curtis Byrne.
Perhaps soon to be power 4 arm.
Oh, boy. The 1-1. Well, speaking of power 4, this is Curtis Byrne out of TCU, a team that has recently requested a transition out of the Big 12, which is in and of itself technically the Big 10. It's a whole mess right now between the Big 10, the Big 12. The only one that has a number that makes sense is the Pac-12, which does have 12 teams. In case you don't know what we're alluding to, first of all, congratulations. That must feel good. We're about to really burst that bubble for you. As the count here goes to 3-1 on Byrne. Mosiello rocks into the windup and delivers a strike to fill the count. So Oklahoma and Texas put in a formal request to depart the Big 12 and join the SEC, which would have been bad enough. But then it was followed by requests to leave the Big 12 from Texas Tech, from TCU, and from Baylor. As the payoff pitch is on the way, and that is in there. Called strike 3, and you saw both Levin start to throw the ball down to first and Byrne start to walk to first base. And well, ultimately, that battle is won here by Mosiello for his 3rd strikeout of the day.
Yeah, and another pitch that looked really good. Osby just found a outside part of the plate and was able to hang him up.
So the Big 12, which only has 10 teams in it, could potentially be down to 5 teams, which is really not enough for a conference. So a situation that we will continue to monitor as the summer and the upcoming school year go on. This pitch misses down and away, and Mac Bingham is now the new batter at the dish.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about first it's starting with Texas and Oklahoma leaving, and it's unsurprising to see all the rest of the dominoes fall thereafter because those are 2 teams that really are the hallmark of that conference when it comes to sports year-round.
Yeah, it would not leave a whole lot as this leaving the count at 1-1. You'd be looking at a conference consisting of Kansas, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and West Virginia. And that would be it. The Big 5. Mosiello rocks into the windup, the 1-1. That'll miss low and away. Count goes to 2-1, and about what we expected here today, Tim. I mean, a pitcher's duel between 2 guys who have been very good, at least through these first couple of innings. Good offenses on both sides, but we weren't expecting a lot of fireworks like we were in that Bourne game. As the 2-1 is on its way. And that'll be popped a mile high. That'll stay on the infield. Brock Wilkin drifting over towards the Mariners' dugout, creeping ever closer to it. Looks up, makes the catch for out number 2.
Yeah, and as Wilkin makes that catch, I want to talk a bit about that play he made last inning to end the 2nd inning. We never really got a chance to talk all that much about it. Really impressive how Brock Wilkin's come along this season, it feels, when it comes to his fielding, because that's a throw and a play on the ball that if that happens day 1, we're not too sure how that goes, but with how he makes that throw coming to his right and throwing it across the diamond, really an excellent play by Brock Wilkin to be able to help get out of the inning.
And a guy who, again, makes a very difficult throw look pretty routine out there at third base. But, yeah, his defense has come a long way as Trey Falcini swings through the first pitch that he sees. We knew what we were getting with Brock Wilkin when we took a look at the hitting statistics, but fielding was, a bit of a question mark. Not that Wilkin's been poor defensively, but just not something that you see, as many highlights as talked about by scouts. But he's really put it together. As the 0-1, that'll miss upstairs. Count goes to 1-1.
More of a situation where, if a guy does have a weakness, that's what it is.
Right.
Not that that's something that you consider really needs excessive amounts of work. And he is just a freshman as well.
Mm-hmm.
Something to remember, something we've hammered across multiple broadcasts at this point.
Yeah, turning 19 just before entering the Cape as Mosiello gets a swing and a miss for strike 2 here. He's got Faltini now eating out of the palm of his hand. We'll see if he goes right at him here or wastes a pitch. And speaking of guys who have been looking good, not just today but the entire season, we've talked about Mosiello a little bit, but he has just been commanding this baseball game.
Yeah, he's looked good. I mean, 3 strikeouts already so far through the first 8 batters faced.
And all of them of the looking variety, which is not typically what you see. Here comes the 1-2. And that is just going to miss. Levin started to pump down to third base. He gets called back by the home plate umpire, 2-2.
Tried to speak it into existence twice. You got it the first time, but don't push it.
He's done that a couple of times. He's already done it twice on 2 punch-outs in this game. That would have been the third, but now it'll be a 2-2 on the way from Mosiello. And that'll be tipped foul. Fortunate for Faltini to get a piece of that. He'll stay alive here at 2-2 as Mosiello tried to put him away with a low fastball. Top of the order, due up next here for the Whitecaps. Mosiello trying to go 9 up, 9 down here through these first couple of innings. Harwich has the only 2 hits of the game so far. Pitch on the way. Fouled away, we'll do it again.
Tried to get it by him at 87 upstairs. I like the idea. Try and blow it by him. Fastball up high. See what he offers here on the 2-2. See if he tries to go for that same pitch or tries to give Faltini a different look now.
And Faltini has been a victim of the strikeout pitch quite a bit this season. 17 Ks on his record compared to only 5 walks this year, hitting just 147. So not a power bat down in the bottom of the lineup trying to flip the book over. As the 2-2 is on its way, this will be popped up. Opportunity for this to stay in the yard potentially, but Levins will watch it back to the bleachers. So that clanged off of something. Clearly no catch being made on the fly out there. Hope everybody's okay.
Well, based on the trends we've seen this year, a lot of people like to play these foul balls on the hop.
Which is something that our very own foul ball catching expert Colin Casey is not a fan of. You got to take the fastest angle and reach up, use your hands, and catch the ball. That's what we hear from Colin on a repeated basis. Here comes Mosiello's 2-2. Swing and a miss, he got him. Trey Falcini strikes out. That is K number 4 on the day, and the first time through the order, Andrew Mosiello has surrendered no hits. He's faced the minimum as we head to the home half of the 4th. Mariners looking for runs when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. To the home half of inning number 3 we go. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. It'll be Zach Preisner, Press Kavanaugh, and Tatum Levins due up next for the Harwich Mariners. And again, really no holes in this lineup here as Preisner looks to set the table for the top of the order. But they will have to face off once again here against Bryce Hubbard, who again we know is on some kind of a limit. We do not know what that limit is. We'll keep an eye on that. And really, you know, as good as it would feel to get the starter knocked out of the game here, not a easy-going bullpen, to say the least, for this Brewster Whitecaps team. First pitch misses here for a ball. For the Whitecaps so far this season, working with a team ERA of 3.28. 269 strikeouts compared to only 73 walks this year. As Preisner belts one down the third base line, but foul. And the count evens here at 1-1.
Yeah, this would be a really valuable at-bat for Harwich to get a guy on base. They've succeeded in getting guys on base each of the first 2 innings, but it's about being able to produce, and to do that with the leadoff man here, we go a long ways.
Yep, timely hitting is something the Mariners have done a much better job of as of late. So there's that breaking ball, 76 this time, and it'll miss outside here for ball 2. Take a look at some other games going on around the CCBL. Already mentioned the Wareham Gatemen. They were up 10-0 on the YD Red Sox. That lead is now 12-1 as Preisner's going to grab some new lumber here. May have cracked his bat on that last swing. Behind us, Harbor Hawks up 9-3 on the Katua Kettleers. And the Bourne Braves, after losing just their 4th game all season, currently trail the Orleans Firebirds 3-0. We know better than to think that that lead is safe for Orleans. But you never know. Maybe they found the rally goose last night.
Oh, my God. That was what a situation there. I mean, you could not have written that any better.
2-1 to Preisner, fouled away. In case you don't know what we're talking about, and why would you? First of all, go to the Orleans Twitter page, @Orleans Firebirds. Go check it out. It's absolutely hilarious. So, in the middle of their game, a goose flew onto the field, seemingly out of nowhere, was chased from the pitcher's mound to the outfield. None of the players wanted to pick it up. As the 2-2, there's that curveball, and that is in there for another strikeout. Both punch-outs on the day for Hubbard have been on that breaking ball, and he gets another strikeout victim. This time it's Zach Preisner. That'll bring up Press Kavanaugh. So they chase the goose to the outfield. You got to think, it's a game at Eldridge Park. There are probably close to 2,000 fans there. But who's the one person qualified to remove a bird from the field? It's Firebird Bob, the mascot who came out. The Birdman comes out in the full mascot gear, picks up the goose, and walks it out the center field bullpen. I've never seen anything like it during a baseball game at any level.
The Goose Whisperer.
Apparently, because that was the funny thing to me. The goose didn't even give it a second glance. It was just completely okay with being picked up and removed from the field of play by a man in a giant red bird suit. 1-0 pitch misses upstairs. That'll make it a 2-0 count here on Press Kavanaugh.
I want to hear if either broadcaster for either team yesterday gave it a call as if the bird was in on the action.
Oh, they did.
Oh, yeah?
A good friend of mine from Arizona State, Gareth Kwok, one of the 2 broadcasters for the Orleans Firebirds. He had full play-by-play of the incident as it unfolded on the field, as this is across for a called strike. But the point being, ever since that incident, and ever since the loss yesterday, the Bourne Braves trailing the Orleans Firebirds 3-0. Only other game going on the Cape, just underway. Chatham Anglers taking on the Falmouth Commodores. Is getting well under this is Kavanaugh. He'll be an easy routine play for Faltini at short. 2 away.
Bit of a Freaky Friday situation there between Bourne and Hyannis.
Yeah, you could say that. Of course, the Bourne Braves very upset about some of the antics yesterday, but you know, what are you gonna do? And at the end of the day, it ends up being a 3-run victory for the Harwich Mariners. So the 2 runs that may or may not have shouldn't have counted ultimately come up back to be completely meaningless in the grand scheme of things. So Harwich becomes just the 4th team this year to defeat the Bourne Braves. One of the other 4 on the team are on the field right now, the Brewster Whitecaps, as part of this unbelievable run that they've been on. Levens cuts at that, comes up empty. Count goes 0-1.
That was a really important win last night for Harwich, to be able to go in and solve a team that's given you troubles all season long, the team that everyone's been calling the best team on the Cape. Does a lot for your team energy.
A 1-to-Levens taken right back at the pitcher. Hubbard turns to first, flips to first in time, and it's another 3-up, 3-down inning for Bryce Hubbard. Still scoreless through 3 as we head to inning number 4 here from White House Field. You're watching on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field here on a Monday evening. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. Mariners fans earn a bachelor's or master's degree, complete a certificate, or take a single course through the Division of Continuing Education and Graduate Studies at Curry College. In-person and high-flex classes run days, evenings, and weekends in Milton and Plymouth. To learn more about programs in business, accounting, criminal justice, education, nursing, and more, visit www.curry.edu. And now for the next 3 innings of play-by-play, I'll turn it over to my broadcast partner, Tim Foley. Tim, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. Andrew Mosiello back on the bump for the Mariners, and he'll be facing the Brewster lineup for the second time through. He has been cruising to this point. 4 strikeouts, just the 1 walk that was ultimately deemed inconsequential thanks to the double play ball hit by Spencer Jones. But second time through a lineup, as baseball fans will understand, always going to be a bit more difficult for a pitcher because everyone's gotten a good look at you that first time around. So it'll be Alex Freeland, the one guy who's gotten on base today so far for the Whitecaps, who's due up first. First pitch to him is going to be fouled off the end of the bat, and it's a 0-1 count.
And this is a Whitecaps team that, very similar to what we've seen out of the Bourne Braves, they've gotten behind in a lot of the games where Harwich has been trying to catch them. Harwich has been about 1.5 to 2 games behind this Whitecap squad for the better part of the last 2 weeks. And we always see it in the early game scoreboard. The Whitecaps are down 2-0, 3-0, 4-1. But when all's said and done, this team just finds ways to eke out wins.
Yeah, they have a sort of X factor that helps them to perform at that kind of level, as it's an 0-2 count here. Bourne, another team that Harwich just faced last night, who seemingly night in and night out were making comebacks of the walk-off variety and go-ahead variety in the top of the 9th inning. It's an 0-2 count here to Freeland. The pitch. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Andrew Mosiello picks up where he left off. That's back-to-back strikeouts.
Yep, and that is his 5th strikeout of the day. So he's just been mowing guys down. And yeah, second time through the order, maybe you think a guy has the advantage, but so far, advantage to Mosiello as he fans Freeland. Now he'll face the guy he got to ground into a 4-6-3 double play.
Spencer Jones is that guy. He steps in, the lefty. Center fielder today for the Whitecaps. First pitch to him. That's going to miss down low inside at 89 miles an hour. Ball 1.
And we talked a little bit about that Eastern Division race. The one thing that always kind of threw you and I for a loop when it came to YD, that run differential has not been good this year. -30, as they've started to finally have the losses catch up to them a little bit here this last week or so.
And Spencer Jones fans on a 1-0 pitch. It's 1-1, and that's something that was a bit peculiar to start the season, really. You had teams where they were in the standings, but run differential really didn't seem to make all that much of a difference as the 1-1 pitch comes in. That just misses the inside part of the plate, 2-1. You had teams that were, to start the season, -10, -15, and they're in the top half of the division, and they're winning tight games, but they're getting blown out every other night. So it was an interesting situation to start the year, and it's starting to shake out as typically you do see run differential shake out. It's a 2-2 count now as the 84-mile-an-hour pitch just clipped the outside part of the plate. Mosiello looking for strikeout number 6. Comes set, and the pitch. This will be spoiled off at 91 miles an hour. We'll do it again. And
this was a Whitecaps team that was kind of among that list. They were winning a lot of those close games, but they got blown out by Orleans. They got blown out by Bourne. At one point, I think they had like a -26 run differential or something crazy like that, but they were still in first place in the East. So ultimately, all that matters is whether or not you win the games. Doesn't really matter by how many.
2-2 pitch misses up high. Now 3-2. Just get 2 points, 2 points, 2 points. That's all that matters. Like CYO hoops. It's a full count now here to Spencer Jones.
You want to attribute that quote, Tim?
Of course, Steve Englert. Quote machine. Fouled straight back. 3-2 count. We'll do it once again.
And if you know Steve, that makes sense. That 100% checks out. But some of the best quotes we've gotten from Coach Steve Englert. Well, some of the best quotes we've gotten from Steve Englert we can't use on the air, but he is just consistent producer of some really great lines. And another part of the reason this team loves him, he is a very charismatic guy.
3-2 pitch. That one's going to run in on Jones and hit him. So second man on today for the Whitecaps. Jones will get on with a hit by pitch.
You wonder if it's instinct for a guy like Jones. Doesn't even try to duck out of the way or anything like that. He's content to let it hit him, but very clearly a ball. You jump out of the way, you take your pace on a walk. He earns it the hard way. And now I'm sure that leg not feeling particularly great down there at first base, but either way, a runner aboard for the first time since the first inning here for the Whitecaps.
Yeah, about as effective as a single. So if you're Jones, you take those any way they come. So now this brings up Chris Lanzilli, former Mariner. Grounded out to third, his last time up to bat. Mosiello trying to bounce back, of course, after just hitting the batter in Jones. Pickoff attempt. Oh, and he didn't get him, but Jones lost his footing on the way back to the bag, and if not for Spencer Jones's 6'7" frame, I'm not sure he would have had the range to be able to tap that first base bag.
Yeah, that was awfully close over at first, but now an opportunity for Mosiello to focus up on the hitter.
Mosiello stares in. Another pickoff attempt, this one skipping in the dirt. Dylan Phillips doing his job digging it out. And Lanzilli still awaiting his second pitch.
You know, one thing we like to kind of joke about sometimes is the classic revenge game for a guy. We talk about Lanzilli playing here against his former team, but that actually ended up being the case a couple of weeks ago.
That's the 1-0 pitch, skied up. Phillips calls off Mosiello. He'll make the grab, 2 away.
Talking about a game against the Orleans Firebirds in which ultimately ended up going down as a 2-2 tie, thanks in large part to former Harwich Mariner Corey Acton, who had the RBI that drove in the run and then came across to score the second run in that game. So he had a hand in both of the runs that kept the point away from the Mariners. Ultimately, part of the reason they're not tied with Brewster right now for that top spot.
Yeah, a game in which Corey Acton, I believe, he was able to record his first hit, and it was against this Mariners squad, so it was a big day for him with his new team as the 90-mile-an-hour pitch down low and inside, 1-0.
Yeah, now you have an opportunity if you're Mosiello. You can focus really on the hitter. You got 2 away, just trying to get one more. Nobody's in scoring position, but you are going to get up against the only all-star in this Whitecaps lineup.
That's Jake Thompson. Struck out looking his last at-bat. Another pickoff attempt over at first to keep Spencer Jones honest. 1-0 count here to Thompson. Mosiello again staring over at first base. Now pitches. Ball skips in the dirt, gets away from Levens. Jones goes down to second base. So now Brewster with a man on second and 2 away.
Yep, and in a game that runs come at a premium, you've got the runner in scoring position now for Brewster. Each team has had one guy in scoring position at one point or another this game.
This is the first time Brewster has had somebody get as far as second base. Alex Freeland, the one guy who was on first, was cut down in that double play ball. That Jones had hit, as mentioned. 2-0 count here to Thompson. The pitch. That's going to catch the upper part of the zone, 87 miles an hour, strike 1.
It's a good comeback pitch there. Slider kept it up that time. Didn't hang it, but gets it up and in. Not a pitch that you're typically going to see a guy like Thompson offer at, and he gets back into the count 2-1 as you mentioned.
Mosiello decides on a pitch. Stares back towards second base and delivers. Another pitch that skips in the dirt, and it's 2 of the last 3 pitches that have gone away from Mosiello down low. Trying to keep his control here for Mosiello. So far to this point, he's thrown 64 pitches. 3-1 pitch. This will be fouled off. Count now runs full.
Yeah, quick update on the out-of-town scoreboard. Hyannis is now leading it 11-3 over the Katua Kettleers.
And they've been on a bit of a stretch here.
Yeah, to be fair, I think they have a winning record over their last week, which is impressive for a team that, again, 6-22. At one point, they were 2-20. But they have really bounced back. And in a West where all 3 teams are competing for that second playoff spot, Hyannis could be the team that plays spoiler at some point down this home stretch.
Certainly so, as all 3 of those teams are really tight. 3-2 pitch is swung on, hit out to the gap in left center. Coming over to make the catch is Jordan Beck. He'll record out number 3. Nothing across the plate yet for either team. We'll head now to the bottom of the 4th inning. due up for the Mariners. It'll be Wilkin, Putz, and Phillips. That in a moment. You're listening to the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back into White House Field here on a lovely Monday evening. Monday, July 26th, end of the season coming up upon us. Final off day of the season just this Thursday. Brock Wilkin leading it off for the Mariners here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Hit into a double play to end the first inning. And there's that 12-6 curve that just drops into the strike zone at 73 miles an hour from Bryce Hubbard working on his fourth inning.
And yes, that's a fantastic pitch, and yes, it does come across for a strike, but when you're dropping 76 miles an hour, I'd be careful leaving that up to Brock Wilkin.
Certainly one of the more dangerous hitters on the Cape this summer, and 90 miles an hour, and this time will miss high. This count goes to 1-1.
And I don't know that we'll see him throw that to Brock again. That's a good first pitch to throw to Wilkin because he may not be expecting it, but that is going to be in the back of his mind. That thing looks meaty coming in as a hitter.
Yeah, Brock Wilkin, a guy who will make you pay. 1-1 pitch, and looks like that may have been it down low in the zone at 1-2.
Yeah, it was. And Wilkin that time, I mean, again, he goes from one that starts at the eyes and drops to the letters to one that starts at the letters and drops to the knees. And the movement on this thing, it's probably the best breaking ball we've seen all year.
1-2. Misses up high, and there's that combo that Hubbard's been trying to work this whole at-bat. Is a 12-6, and then give it to him up high at 90 miles an hour.
And it frustrates a hitter because, again, if you're sitting on the breaking ball and you see something up like that, it's tempting to swing, but you really have to be patient here.
Hubbard, the pitch. Another pitch that misses up high, this time 91 miles an hour. All three balls coming on fastballs. Each of the two strikes coming on the 12-6 curve.
I like what he's trying to do here, though. He's got a guy that is aggressive in Brock Wilkin. He's going at him with that high fastball, but he hasn't been able to get him to chase so far.
3-2 pitch, and Wilkin gets underneath this one. Sends it out to center field. Spencer Jones shades over to right to make the catch. One away.
Yeah, Wilkin guessed correctly, but he hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark, and it's got to be a sigh of relief right now from Hubbard that thing stayed inside the fence.
Yeah, ball went about 390 feet. It was fairly close, almost to the warning track. One that Brock Wilkin's going to remember for his next at-bat should he get to face Bryce Hubbard one more time.
And this is also one of the few parks in the league that does have pretty traditional dimensions. 330 to left, 400 to straightaway center, 330 out to right. Nothing really weird going on here at White House. This first pitch misses up and away. Also one of the only, well, not one of the only, but one of the best maintained fields. I mean, you hear it from the guys all the time. Like whether you think that the stadium is the best or the fans are the best, the playing surface is what the guys love when they come here to White House Field.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. That one misses high and inside. Now 2-0 to Carter Putz, and a name that we've credited before on broadcast and have to credit again, Jared Hopkins, the head groundskeeper here at White House Field, does an excellent job, carves all of these lines into the field, does it all by eye, and he's really kept it beautiful all season long for these Mariners as the 2-0 pitch is in for a called strike at 91 miles an hour.
This is part of what I really like about Hubbard. He approaches every hitter differently. Typically, you see guys go out there, they have what they have, and they're going to lean into that on every at-bat. Hubbard, it's like a chess match with each of these guys individually.
12-6 is chopped on the ground to short. Throw from Falcini is in time. Now 2 away in the bottom of the 4th inning.
And again, once these starters eventually exit the game, 2 of the better bullpens in this league as well. Not just in the division, in the league. I mean, again, talked about some of the numbers for Brewster. Harwich is not far behind. You look at the Mariners this year, a team ERA of 3.52, 298 strikeouts coming into this game, only 94 walks on the year.
Yeah, this is a Harwich pitching staff that has had excellent control of everything they've been throwing all season long. Guys like Razelman, Dombrowski, Mosiello with how he's been pitching. First pitch to Dylan Phillips, misses inside. And then you have guys on the back end. Aaron Holiday to start the season, really kicked things off. He was throwing a lot of strikeouts. You have Owen Cody, who all season long has been able to put the ball in the strike zone for Harwich as the 1-0 pitch misses outside at 89 miles an hour, now 2-0. Hubbard, I think, thought he had that one, was a bit frustrated on it, and he'll take a bit of a lap behind the mound to try and regather his focus. Here's the 2-0 pitch. This one's popped up by Phillips. That'll head out of play. We'll do it again, 2-1.
And let's talk about Owen Cody for just a second because, you know, you talk about what a big bounce-back game that was for Harwich to beat Bourne. But you look at Cody's numbers this year, 2.38 ERA. He's given up 3 hits, 3 walks, and so far this year, 3 earned runs. All but one of those hits came against the Bourne Braves in that crazy 9th inning outburst. So for Cody to go back into a game against Bourne and this time completely turn it around was just great to see.
2-1 pitch is in the zone for a called strike, 2-2. It really is, and for the guy, for the character that Cody has, it's really no surprise that he was able to bounce back and have the performance that he did. A guy who likes to keep it light but knows how to focus in and compete when it comes down to it. Somebody who really focuses on his craft. As the 2-2 misses outside, count runs full here to Dylan Phillips. Phillips looking to get another single as he did in his last at-bat.
Yeah, good change up there. Try to get him on the outside part of the plate, but just a little too far off, and Phillips now in a pretty favorable spot. This is where he's done some of his best work this year.
Hubbard decides on the pitch and delivers. Phillips hits this one on the right side. Bobbled by Freeland. Throw on to first is still in time. Freeland was able to recover and make the throw on to Thompson to record the 3rd out of the inning. That'll do it for the 4th. We head now to the 5th inning. Still scoreless from White House Field. Who's going to score first? We'll have to tune in to find out. You're watching the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back into White House Field. Leading off for the Whitecaps in this inning, it'll be Tony Bullard. Third baseman for Brewster. Struck out looking his last at-bat. Mosiello back on the mound for his 5th inning of work. As first ball seen by Bullard. Nice pick by Cody. Throw on to first. Phillips able to dig that one out. One away quickly here in the top of the 5th inning.
And that's a really tough play to make. I mean, all the credit in the world, not only to the pick there from Cody, but the dig by Phillips on the return throw. So good job there picking up the first out. And now that will bring up Chad Castillo.
And Mosiello to this point in the game. No hits allowed. He struck out 5. So this does bring up Chad Castillo. As mentioned, grounded out to third on a nice play made by Brock Wilkin to end the 2nd inning. First pitch is 89 miles an hour down at the feet. Brush him off the plate a bit. 1-0.
And we've only had 5 base runners in this game between these two teams, but you and I were talking about this during the break. It's actually on pace to be a pretty traditional game. A lot of 3-2 counts, a lot of 2-strike counts, and a lot of long at-bats on both sides.
And an at-bat here that opens up at 2-0. Mosiello going to have to offer something a bit more enticing here to the designated hitter in Castillo. 2-0 pitch. That misses up high. Could not find his spot. It's now a 3-0 count.
I don't believe we've seen a single 4-pitch walk or 3-pitch strikeout in this game.
I'd have to agree with you. I don't think we have. 3-0 pitch. First pitch is in for that pitch is in for a called strike 1, and we won't yet. 3-1 the count.
Yeah, see how Mosiello bounces back here. Obviously, the bat stays on the shoulder of Castillo. He'll take it off now, wanting to swing at this next pitch.
Here's the pitch. That one runs inside, 86 miles an hour for ball 4. That's the 2nd walk of the day offered by Andrew Mosiello.
Yeah, so far in this game, Brewster's had 3 guys aboard. Mosiello's put them all there himself as he walked the leadoff man, Alex Freeland. He hit Spencer Jones in the 4th, and here he walks Castillo in the 5th. But he's done a good job of bouncing back. 5 strikeouts for him so far, and where he has not been able to get outs, his defense has picked them up very well in this game. Already a couple of really flashy plays from Wilkin, from Cody. Wouldn't be surprised if we see the outfield get involved in this as well.
This brings up Curtis Byrne, the catcher today for Brewster. Struck out looking in his last at-bat to open up the 3rd inning. First pitch into him is a called strike, and even with just that first pitch, you can tell a bit more urgency from Mosiello, now with a man on to try and get work done early in these counts. Something that Harwich really excels at. Of course, we mentioned the strikeout numbers, now over 300 on the season as a pitching staff. That ball skips in the dirt. Count evens out at 1-1, something that Harwich really benefits from. And of course, we've mentioned this before, all pitchers benefit from getting ahead in the count. But Harwich, a pitching staff that really closes it down once they are ahead in these counts. 1-2, 0-2. It's a 1-1 count here to Curtis Byrne. Runner goes, swing and a miss. Throw down to second, well in time. And thrown out is Chad Castillo. Dead to rights was Chad Castillo. Tatum Levin's a nice throw down to the bag to beat him by a mile.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some good arm strength from Levins, and we almost kind of joke about it sometimes when we see him do the throwdown during warm-ups. Occasionally, he'll sail it over the head of those guys at second, but you really do get a look at just the full arm strength that he has. And he puts it on full display there.
1-2 pitch is fouled off, so now Curtis Byrne, instead of having 1 out and 1 on, he's got 2 outs and nobody on it. Agreed, Levins, he really does like to let it fly, and you know, that's one of the aspects of his game that when he's able to control that ball, he really does have a good arm getting down to the bag in time. It's a 2-2 count here to the catcher, Byrne. Mosiello looking for his 6th punch out, trying to face the minimum. That misses low and away, count runs full. Pitch just missing at 90 miles an hour.
Unfortunately, you know, the base is empty now after the caught stealing down at second. So, you know, even if he does put him on, 2 away in the inning, just looking for 1 more, but you know Mosiello is going for a strikeout here.
3-2 pitch, chopped on the ground, foul towards the Mariners' dugout. One of the bat boys will have to grab that one.
And barely got a hand at that. That was a very awkward swing. You could tell he was not sitting on that pitch, and so the count does stay full, but Byrne fortunate to still be up at the plate.
Mosiello's been solid to this point. 3-2. chopped away at 92 miles an hour. That pitch going right over the heart of the plate. Mosiello just trying to blow it by him. And it's spoiled off. Once again, we will pitch. There have been 3 innings so far for Mosiello where he's just had to face the minimum, the first, second, and third innings. Trying to make it inning number 4 for him here. This ball's rocketed out to left center by Byrne. Settling underneath it to make the catch is Josh Hood. And there are 3 away in the top of the 5th inning. We move now to the home half of the inning. Still a 0-0 game from White House Field. You're watching the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back into White House Field. Josh Hood leading it off for Harwich, trying to avoid their second straight 1-2-3 inning. Josh Hood, his last time up, had a fly out to center field to help move Carter Putz along. Ultimately, nothing yet going for the Mariners. First pitch, Hood sees. It's a pop-up, and Byrne comes over to make the catch, and he'll be able to record the out. So 1 pitch, 1 out. Josh Hood frustrated there as we now move on to Jordan Beck.
Yeah, Hood may just need to be a little bit more patient. He is a very aggressive hitter. That's kind of his style, but swinging at the first pitch, he gets way under it and kind of records a quick, easy out here for a guy that, again, we mentioned on a pitch limit. We don't know what that limit will be today, but out for another inning is Hubbard, and right now both bullpens getting arms up and warming. It's Cam Schlittler out in the Harwich pen.
There's a curveball just missing outside. Count goes to 1-0. That's pitch number 61 here for Hubbard. He's been arguably more efficient than Mosiello, who at this point has thrown 81 pitches through 5 innings of work. So we'll see what clip Hubbard's able to record outs. And, I mean, so far so good if you're just looking at Hood. It's a 2-0 count here to Jordan Beck. Struck out looking his last at-bat. Here's the pitch. Ball fouled off. Count goes to 2-1. Take a moment to update you on some games out of town. We have a final to report. Wareham has beaten the Whitey Red Sox 12-2 in a game that's been called after 7 innings thanks to darkness over at Red Wilson. So that helps the Mariners' case. Helps really both of these teams to make sure that that third team does not sneak up on whoever ends up in second. It's now a 3-1 count. Fastball missing outside from Hubbard. Hubbard only walked 1 batter so far today. That was Putz in the second inning, looking to avoid his second walk of the day. Jordan Beck, a big swing and a miss there. And that will run the count full.
And in a game like this where runs are coming at a premium, you could really see, I mean, again, one swing could really affect this game in a major, major way. If somebody can put one over a fence here, not saying that either side should be trying to get a home run, but you come up with one, that could be the difference on the scoreboard at the end of the night.
3-2 pitch, Beck, chopper down to third base line. Bullard makes the catch, throw to first is in time to record the out. Nice play made by Bullard as he was able to charge a slow hopper down to him over at third. Throw onto the bags in time, and this will bring up second baseman Max Cody.
And as both of these guys start to approach or get into that 80-pitch window, that's when you really start to wonder how long the leash will be, because you don't really want to pull a guy when he's cruising like this, but at the same time, you don't want to overextend one of your starters that you need down the stretch. So, you know, we'll see on both sides what these managers decide to do in regards to the starting pitching situation.
First pitch seen by Cody is in the zone at 81 miles an hour for a called strike, and that's always an interesting wrinkle late in the season, is seeing what limits these pitchers do finally have once they've thrown a season's worth of pitches. A big swing and a miss for Max Cody, trying to reach after something up in the zone at 80 miles an hour. Count goes to 0-2.
Well, we talked about Cody and how that big performance really has started to kind of bleed into his totals, but the guy's hitting 321 this year. He's one of only 5 Mariners to be hitting over 300, so a really good season starting to get put together by Max Cody.
0-2 pitch, chopped off. We will do it again. It certainly has been, and it wasn't always that way. I think Cody, he's trying to slot his way back into the regular lineup, but when he first got here, it was really used sparingly by these Mariners. Not always a guy who was in the lineup, but certainly has been making a name for himself as of late. The 0-2, watch out. Max Cody dives out of the way of a pitch that was right around the head area at 92 miles an hour.
Yeah, and then kind of runs around in circles a little bit there as well, trying to maintain his composure a bit. Yeah, Cody made his debut seemingly a really long time ago, and he's only played in 10 games. So you mentioned being used very sparingly here, but starting to see the lineup a bit more as his offense is upticked.
1-2 pitch is lined just over the shortstop's head. Max Cody will hold up at first, and another nice piece of hitting from Cody as he continues to see the ball well recently for these Mariners.
And he certainly has. So that'll bring up Preisner, trying to keep the line moving here for the M's and flip things over back to the top of the book. First time up, strikeout looking on that breaking ball. And, you know, for all the crazy strikeout numbers that we've seen from Hubbard, he's had just 2 so far this evening. Harwich has done a good job of not giving him those easy outs, but he has managed to kind of just fill the zone and let his defense do a lot of the heavy lifting today.
Exactly. Seen a lot of counts that have run full on both sides as Preisner trying to check his swing. Ball goes back to the backstop, but Harwich has been swinging at a lot of these full count pitches, wanting to offer at something, and generally, as you said, Tyler, just a lot of hitting to contact in this game, and that was one of the things that plagued Harwich last time they actually faced off against Brewster, or one of the 2 games they had this season against Brewster. The strikeout numbers weren't all that crazy, but there was a lot of balls hit to Zach Neto in particular over at short, as the 0-1 pitch misses up high, 1-1.
Yeah, Neto seemed to eat things up really quickly. Just to finish that thought on Max Cody, his first 5 games, he had just 2 hits. He has now hit in 4 of his last 5 games, and in the last 2, 3 hits, 2 hits, and then 1 hit the game before that.
1-1 pitch. That's in for a called strike. Count now goes to 1-2, and that's something that if you're head coach Steve Englert, you have to be happy about with the emergence of Max Cody, the way that he's been able to see things at the plate. You were always confident in the way he's been able to handle the ball over at short, but for now, for that aspect of his game to shore up, it gives you just another part of your lineup that is completely solid, as Cody was heading down for second there on a hit and run that was called, or of course, with a 1-2 count now here.
Yep, and not a bad idea there. We've seen that aggressiveness out of Harwich all season long. Good job there from Preisner to get the bat on it, and at the very least, fight it off and stay alive here in this at-bat.
Harwich trying to extend the inning. They have not had 2 hits in an inning once, and they will not here in this inning. Zach Preisner goes down swinging, his second strikeout of the day. That is strikeout number 3 for Bryce Hubbard. We move now to the top of the 6th inning. Still 0-0 here from Harwich. You are watching the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here in Harwich. It'll be the 8, 9, and 1 batters due up here for Brewster. Mac Bingham, Trey Falcini, and Alex Freeland all due up in the inning. First we have Mac Bingham, last time around. Fouled out to Brock Wilkin over at third base for the second out of the third inning. First pitch is a 91-mile-an-hour strike from the new pitcher on the mound for the Mariners, Cam Schlittler. So the day is done for Andrew Mosiello. And a very solid line. The 0-1 pitch. Down low at 86, 1-1. Mosiello on the day, 5 innings pitched. They were all 5 hitless innings. Walked 2 batters, struck out 5. Really an excellent outing from Mosiello. Tyler, what'd you like from him today?
Yeah, I mean, again, he just had solid command. He trusted his defense, and as this pitch comes inside and misses, I mean, he didn't exactly go crazy on the strikeouts, but that's kind of what we expected. You know, he worked a lot of long counts, and he had almost every hitter that he faced off balance. I mean, again, he goes 5 innings. He doesn't give up a hit. So he turns the baton over here to another former starter in Cam Schlittler, who will be tasked with trying to carry the Mariners the rest of the way.
2-1 pitch. That one runs inside. Another pitch that nearly connects with Mac Bingham. Count now at 3-1.
Yeah, and Cam Schlittler's been up and down, but decent in his own right. A 5.63 ERA so far this season. He has 11 strikeouts, 9 walks. That's kind of been his one Achilles heel so far this year, and guys have been hitting pretty well off of him. 18 hits given up this year. That is second only to Dalton Smith.
3-1 pitches, foul it off, and talking about Schlittler more, his last start was that loss against Byrne. The game that was tied going into the 9th inning at 4-4. 3-2 pitches, hit on a line right at Max Cody, curled right into his glove. One away here in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, quick outwork by Schlittler. And the one thing that impresses, I mean, again, he's obviously got great stuff, but the one thing you almost forget about Cam Schlittler till he steps out on out of the mound, he's 6'6". I mean, he's coming downhill with everything that he's got. A very tall righty, and that has worked to his advantage. Certainly did again that out against Mac Bingham.
So in steps Trey Falcini, the shortstop for the Brewster Whitecaps. Struck out swinging his last at bat. First pitch into him. That is in for a strike, 0-1. The 0-1 pitch. That one hops out of the glove of Tatum Levens. Count now goes to 1-1. A lot of these pitches that have been missing for Schlittler have all been on the inner part of the plate. Has not had a lot of success trying to pick that inside corner so far. One pitch hit on the ground. Cody steps over to make the grab. Throw on to Phillips is in time. Now 2 away in the top of the 6th.
Yeah, Cody heavily involved this inning, and now Alex Freeland, the leadoff man, comes to the plate. We're walking a strikeout for him so far today. So Schlittler working well so far. Has given up some solid contact, but nothing too dangerous. Of course, this is the first time that he's getting a look at the Brewster Whitecaps. Most of his former appearances, 3 of the 4 in fact, coming against Western teams. Hasn't faced anybody from the East since the game against YD on June 29th.
First pitch to the new batter in Freeland. That misses for a ball. Freeland so far on the day 0 for 1 with a strikeout. He was the first person to get on base here today. Next pitch in the zone at 90 miles an hour, 1-1. He was walked by Mosiello to open up the game, but Mosiello from there on out really just an excellent job, as we've harped on a bit already this inning. 1-1 pitch, misses, now 2-1.
Yep, and we'll see if Brewster gets any more aggressive here. They've been kind of content to watch a couple of pitches to start a lot of these at-bats. Not overly aggressive, as there's another strike watched from Alex Freeland here. But you get the feeling if they're going to find a way to string something together here, they're going to have to start offering a few more of these pitches. Yeah, they've got the strikeout numbers down, but what good does that do you if you can't get any runs on the board?
Schlittler decides. 2-2 pitch, fouled and out of the glove of Tatum Levens. So count stays at 2-2. And Freeland stays alive.
Yep. As it always is, pretty good crowd on hand here at White House Field today. Filling up the stands and the berms. Off to the left and the right. Plenty of fans scattered around the outfield fence as well.
And you may see that as the season moves along. More and more fans try to show up to these games that start to mean more and more. As a 2-2 pitch is fouled away. And of course, 4th of July weekend, always biggest weekend on the Cape, barring the postseason where you have everybody making the trip out to one of the few parks that are in action on any given night. But the outfield utilized a lot more this season for Harwich than it has been, it feels, in years past, as 2-2 pitch misses high and away. Count now 3-2, because one of the new additions they've actually made this year was one that they added for the 2019 Cape League Championship season in the bleachers that are currently out there. 3-2 pitch misses up high, and that will be Cam Schlittler's first walk of the day. Alex Freeland, his second walk of the day. This will bring up Spencer Jones.
Yeah, this is a part of the order you don't really want to mess around with too much. Yeah, Jones is 0 for 1 today. He was hit by a pitch back in that 4th inning, but this is the part of the lineup that, again, has been kind of making Brewster their money this year, and they'll be trying to put some crooked number up on the scoreboard throughout these next 5 innings.
Jones, one of the few other Whitecaps to get on base today. Hit by a pitch in his last at-bat in the 4th inning. Schlittler nods and delivers. Pitch runs inside. Freeland goes down to second, and he will take a bag safely. So now that's a runner in scoring position with 2 outs here for Brewster.
Yeah, we saw that. Trying to remember when that would have been. It was back in the 4th inning. It was actually Spencer Jones who's at the plate now. He was hit by a pitch, and then he reached on a passed ball, as it was, in front of Levens. This time a wild pitch. But either way, runner in scoring position does represent the go-ahead here. Schlittler needing to get a quick out.
It's a 1-0 count here to Jones. The pitch. Ball cracked on the ground. Preisner kicks it away towards the third baseline. Coming home to score is going to be Freeland. It's 1-0 Brewster. Alex Freeland, a hot shot, or pardon me, Spencer Jones, a hot shot to the shortstop, and Zach Preisner, and as he tries to dive to his right and make the stop, he inadvertently kicks it away, allowing ample time for Alex Freeland, who had just advanced the base for free, to be able to come home and give the Whitecaps the lead.
And the last 2 pitches, arguably the worst case scenario for the Mariners. Obviously, the wild pitch moves them up into scoring position, but if that ball goes cleanly out into left field, Hood's charging in. He's got a chance to pick it up. They probably hold the runner at third. On the other side, obviously, if Preisner stops it, we've seen his defensive ability this year. You trust him to fire a strike to first and get out of the inning, but because he slides in and kicks the ball off to the left side, allows a run to come across the score. And now, yeah, if you're Harwich, you're out hitting the Whitecaps 3-1 on the scoreboard, but the only number that matters is in that run column where they trail by 1.
That was the first hit of the day by Brewster. Pickoff attempt at first keeps Spencer Jones on the bag. So it's been a rather uneventful game, but certainly as this is the first non-starter to pitch for either team, things getting a bit more active here at White House Field. The 0-1 pitch in for a called strike. 0-2 now.
Well, and again, it's the Cardinals' sin as a pitcher. You put a guy on for free with 2 outs, it's going to come around to bite you, and sure enough, he gets the first 2, he walks Freeland, and then Freeland finds a way to come across and swipe home plate. So an 0-2 count, an opportunity to get out of it. Got to get out of it with just the 1 run given up. You still trust the Harwich offense, but they've got a bit of an uphill battle here.
Chris Lanzilli trying to avoid going 0 for 3.
And they say it hit him.
Yeah, on that right arm, Lanzilli, the righty, his right arm back just a bit, and Schlittler just clipped him off the forearm, as it were. So now Spencer Jones stands on second, and things falling apart here just a bit for Cam Schlittler. Pitching coach Steve Gruenberg will head out on the mound. Just to give a recap of the innings so far, Mac Bingham had a liner over to Max Cody at second. Then you had Trey Falcini with a routine ground play to second base, and those were relatively quick at-bats, those balls being hit in the first few pitches or so. But then you had Alex Freeland, who got on base with a walk, then advanced on a wild pitch while Spencer Jones was at the plate, and then Spencer Jones gets a piece of one, ruled a hit after it was off of the legs of Zach Preisner. And that's how Brewster got ahead in this game 1-0. So the meeting on the mound will disperse. The entire infield was in to discuss that one, make sure each of them knew what exactly was expected of them. As now in steps Jake Thompson.
Yeah, just a quick conversation there. Schlittler now looking to settle in and get the job done, but now we'll have to face again the one all-star in this lineup for Brewster and Jake Thompson.
Thompson so far today 0 for 2. So far, however, for these Brewster Whitecaps, this third time through the lineup, all three guys able to get on base. First pitch offered to Jake Thompson. Misses outside, it's 1-0.
Yeah, Thompson on the year hitting .259, but that RBI number, 12 for him this year, tied for second on the team, only 2 home runs. He's just a very good situational hitter, and when he's been put in these spots, he's done a really good job for the Whitecaps in 2021.
Would be a good chance for the Whitecaps to open it up even more here. 1-0 pitch just catches the top part of the zone. Count now 1-1, and this is a big inning for Brewster because you want to be able to build on and, of course, add to your lead here while you have runners on the bases, while you have things going, despite already having 2 outs. Again, the last 3 guys have each gotten on for the Whitecaps, and you certainly want to have as much of a lead as possible against these Harwich Mariners in the way they've been scoring. 1-1 pitch. That one's going to be flied out to right center. Going back, tracking it is Beck, and that thing is gone. A 3-run shot from Jake Thompson opens this thing wide up. And that is now a 4-0 lead for the Brewster Whitecaps.
And that didn't look like the kind of pitch that you would typically see a guy drive. It was a little in on the hands that time, but Thompson able to get the bat around on it, and I think just carried to straightaway center field. I mean, it just continued to roll, and ultimately over the fence. Harwich has got their work cut out for him after this.
You mentioned it. Excellent situational hitter in Jake Thompson, the lone all-star on this Whitecaps team that is in the lineup today for a reason. Tony Bullard now steps in with the bases empty here. He'll sky the first pitch he sees. Should be playable. Coming in to make the catch is Press Kavanaugh, and that will end the inning. But Jake Thompson does what he does. Sends a shot over the fence in right center and drives home 3. It's a 4-0 game from Harwich now. New ball game. Mariners will look to respond in the bottom of the 6th. You're watching the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back into White House Field here. It's now a 4-0 lead for the Brewster Whitecaps thanks to a 3-run shot from Jake Thompson. Bryce Hubbard still on the mound for the Whitecaps, working on his 6th inning of work. He's looked good so far, allowing just 3 hits, striking out 3, as well. First batter up here for the Mariners is Press Kavanaugh as we are back to the top of the lineup for the third time through.
Yeah, and one thing that I was kind of thinking about during the break, normally it feels like this is the type of situation where Harwich would put in a guy like Danny Wilkinson, who's been kind of the go-to long reliever this year, but they got to a situation where Hyannis kept coming back and coming back and coming back after taking a massive lead. They had to use him a couple days ago, so not sure what his availability is like today, and as a result, Schlittler ends up taking over and surrenders the biggest hit of the ball game.
Press Kavanaugh. Blooper off the end of the bat is caught by Trey Falcini. So one away here in the bottom of the sixth.
But if you're Harwich, got to move forward here. You've got plenty of time. Still over a third of this ball game left to go, and you still have to trust the lineup that you have. One of the best lineups in the CCBL. I mean, they've been in holes this size before. Number of different occasions. They've had to come back from at least 4-run deficits. The Chatham game, of course, comes to mind early in the year after going down by a grand slam. Came right back and got the job done.
As first pitch here to Tatum Levens, and even when they're not behind, even when they're ahead or it's a tie, this is a Harwich team that has found ways to score a plethora of runs in any given inning. Just last night with a 4-run shot from Dylan Phillips. As Levens fouls one straight back, count now 1-1. Levens so far on the day, 1 for 2. Singled back in the first inning, but he was the first leg of a double play that was hit by Brock Wilkin. So 1-1 count. Pitch misses up high at 79. And again, Hubbard has looked good so far. And right now for him, that is pitch number 83. So he's getting up there in that strike count, or that pitch count rather. Right around that mark that Mosiello was at when he got pulled after 5. 2-1 pitch misses up high. Count now 3-1 here.
Yeah, when the report coming into a game on a guy is that he's on a pitch count, you don't typically expect to see him come back out for the 6th inning with the number of pitches that he has. But to his credit, he's been very efficient in this game. And, I mean, again, you're trying to secure home field for the playoffs right now if you're Brewster. No reason to take him out if he's dealing.
3-1 count. Tatum Levens sends one off to the left side of things here at White House Field. Count now runs full at 3-2.
And we've also seen this a lot throughout the course of this season, and decreasingly so throughout the year. But how many great pitching performances this year has Harwich had, only to have the starter come out and that middle part of the bullpen just not quite be able to back it up?
3-2 pitch chopped on the ground, picked up by Freeland. Throw on to first is in time to record the out. Stretching to his right was Jake Thompson. He's able to reel it in. That's 2 away now in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Yeah, it was awfully close. You saw Levens, as soon as his foot hit the bag, signal safe. But obviously his signal not the one that counts, and that'll be 2 away.
And this will bring up Brock Wilkin. And just to cite an example for you, Tyler, that you were mentioning, the last time Harwich faced off against these Brewster Whitecaps, it was a 5-inning, no-hit performance from Eric Raiselman. So very, very similar structure to this game as there was with that game. As it's a fresh count here to Wilkin. A big cut on the first pitch he sees. Count now is at 0-1.
And it's a scorebook flip-off here in the booth as we both frantically go looking through the record book.
And it wasn't right away for Brewster. Actually, it was right away for Brewster as 0-1 pitch is in for a cold strike. Now an 0-2 count here to Wilkin. It was right as Raiselman was took out of the game to open up that 6th inning that Brewster was able to take advantage of the new pitcher and get a run on the board. So a similar situation here. They're able to get it done once more, and now they're trying to cruise towards the end of this game. 0-2 count to Brock Wilkin. He'll get under one here. Ball is popped up. Drifting foul. Unplayable. That thing hopping off the top of the Brewster dugout. Count stays at 0-2.
Yeah, if you want to go way back, you can go all the way back to the first game against the Whitey Red Sox. Evan Shaver, 6 complete innings, gave up no runs on 3 hits, struck out 10, didn't walk anybody, and immediately the next pitcher that comes into the game surrenders those 3 big runs to the Whitey Red Sox, who end up winning it 3-0. But again, we've seen a lot less of that recently, which has been good. You really do trust a lot of the arms in this Harwich bullpen. Not trying to hammer on Schlittler here, just an unfortunate situation in a game like this that now you're playing from 4 runs behind after such a great outing by Mosiello. But we'll go ahead and shelve that for now and get back to the action obviously on the field with Brock Wilkin at the plate, a guy who we know can change the course of any game with one swing of the bat.
And a lengthy at-bat at the moment. Plenty of fouls to go around. It's an 0-2 count. It's been that for quite some time here to Wilkin. Check swing. He went around. That will hang him up. That is strikeout number 4 on the day for Bryce Hubbard as he completes his 6th inning of work. It's 4-0 Brewster. We head into the 7th inning now here from White House Field. We'll be back in just a moment. You're watching the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to baseball here at White House Field for the play-by-play duties for the final 3 innings of action here. My broadcast partner, Tyler Henry.
Yep, thanks, Tim. Chad Castillo to lead things off here for the Brewster Whitecaps, now holding a 4-run lead. First pitch, chops it to Zach Preisner, picks it up, throws to first, one away here in the top of the 7th. That'll be Byrne and Bingham to follow Castillo in the lineup. Another inning of work coming up here for Cam Schlittler. And the Harwich Mariners are going to have to dig themselves out of a 4-run hole here after that big 4-run 6th inning, punctuated by that 3-run home run by Jake Thompson.
And when it comes to bouncing back from an inning like that defensively, that's exactly what you want, is a quick first out to get you ahead in this inning and keep you ahead.
Yep, and get those bats back up to bat on the other side of things here. So Schlittler, the righty, kicks and fires his first offering in for a called strike. Let's take a look at what Cam Schlittler has on offer this season. A fastball, a slider, a curveball, and a changeup. Classic 4-pitch guy, used as a starter. I believe this is his first appearance out of the bullpen for the Harwich Mariners here in 2021, and he will bring a pitch inside that hits Curtis Byrne in the shoulder. And that'll put the first runner aboard here. And that's kind of the thing to note about that 6th inning is that Brewster did all that damage with just 2 hits. That's all they've got on the scoreboard right now.
2 of those guys getting on due to of course, Schlittler giving up a walk and hitting a guy as well. And so it's tough to be able, as a defense, to help keep guys off the base paths when free bases are being handed out.
That'll bring up Mac Bingham. And the killer about that, even more so than everything else, all that happened with 2 outs. He was able to come in and very quickly work a couple of quick outs. But after that, it really came apart fast. The guy who led the last inning off is at the plate right now in Mac Bingham. He lined out to Cody at second base his first time up. He'll take ball 1 down and away. Good stop there by Tatum Levins.
And now, of course, this is the 2nd time through for Schlittler, as these Whitecap batters are only going to have a better idea of what the righty's offering.
See if that works out here for Bingham. Takes this pitch up above the letters here for ball 2. Plenty of other action going on around the CCBL. Mentioned it before. Wareham takes a 12-2 victory in just 7 innings over the YD Red Sox out at Red Wilson Field. Looks like the Hyannis Harbor Hawks cruising to a win of their own. They're up 15-5 on the Katuitt Cavaliers. Orleans still leads the Bourne Braves 3-0 in the top of the 6th. Same score out in Chatham, where the Anglers on top of the Commodores in the top of the 6th. This pitch misses low. 3 consecutive pitches outside of the zone here for Schlittler. He'll have to settle in here on Mac Bingham. And yeah, I mean, really, no one wants that second playoff spot in the West, I'm telling you. Every time one team starts to get ahead, the other two catch up, or all three of them lose. We've seen that a couple of times. Usually when one of those teams is winning, it's because they're playing each other. So that's going to be fascinating down the stretch as Schlittler comes back here with a strike, makes it a 3-1 count. Falmouth with 26 points out in the West. Wareham and Katuitt with 25 apiece. Wareham picks up a victory today. They'll leapfrog Falmouth. But Katuitt cruising to a loss, and Falmouth not really doing so great themselves right now. Schlittler, the 3-1. And this is going to be flared near Cody, who will settle under it and make a catch on the line drive for out number 2.
That's what happens. You trust your defense to be able to make these plays that, from our perspective, looked like it kind of had some speed on it, but of course heading straight away from us, it's kind of tough to gauge velocity at times. So pretty routine catch made by Cody, his second straight on Bingham.
Yep. That does bring up Trey Falcini, the 9-hole hitter. He's 0 for 2 today, a strikeout and a ground out. Batting now with a runner on first. Grounded out to Cody during his last at bat, facing Schlittler, just the second batter he had faced at that time. And here he'll get under this, pop it up out into right field. Plenty of time for Press Kavanaugh to settle under it. He looks up, makes the catch, and that is out number 3. So the side is retired. It's 7th inning stretch time here at White House Field. The Mariners trail it by 4 when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. New pitcher coming into the game here for the Brewster Whitecaps. It'll be Griffin Green, the man who picked up the save against the Harwich Mariners in Brewster's 4-0 win over the M's earlier this season at Stony Brook. He went 2 innings. He struck out 1, walked nobody, allowed no hits, allowed no runs, and again collected a save. The interesting thing about Griffin Green, or rather about this Brewster Whitecaps team, we talked about their team ERA. It took me a second to find him because the one thing I noticed right away, Griffin Green, coming into this game, has a 2.7 ERA. Now you think to yourself, that's pretty good, right? He is really low on the list. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys ahead of him with better ERAs this season and reasonable sample sizes. We talked about how good the Brewster pitching is so far this year, and that is a big part of the reason why. But he'll be brought in here. Numbers for Griffin Green look like this so far this year. I mentioned the 2.7 ERA through 10 innings of work. He has 9 strikeouts compared to only 2 walks. He has allowed just 3 earned runs on 7 hits all season long and has that 1 save, the Virginia Tech product, against the Harwich Mariners earlier this year. He'll face off against Carter Putz, part of the order here for the Mariners. Putz, Phillips, and Hood. And This is a part of the order you really do need to get something out of this inning here if you are the Mariners.
Yeah, because next time these guys come around, it's going to be 8th, 9th inning, so you need something here.
Big swing and a miss here by Putz. And obviously, as great as a home run would be right now, down by 4, just trying to string some hits together. As Putz falls behind 0-1. That is, of course, if these guys end up coming up again. Typically, you would see them, but not guarantee. Harwich down to their final 9 outs here in the back third of this game. And with the way we've seen Brewster's pitching go, we have had 1, 2, 3 innings in 3 out of the last 4 frames for the Whitecaps. The 0-2 to Putz. Misses up and away. If you're a believer in averages, you're also talking about a Harwich team that through 2 games against the Whitecaps this year has had just 6 hits. So 3 hits a game, they're right at that mark here in this one, looking to have their best offensive performance against the Whitecaps. But impressively, still no runs for the Harwich Mariners in all those innings as Putz fouls this one away.
Something I was just about to mention, Tyler, there really has been no team that has given Harwich this many difficulties this season other than the Brewster Whitecaps. I mean, even Byrne, a team that up until last night was 2-0-1 against Harwich. Harwich was tying them. They were getting runs across. They were making it interesting games. But Harwich, again, as you mentioned, no runs scored across 2 2/3 games played against the Whitecaps.
Yeah, 24 innings, no runs, and that's not going to help. Carter Putz lunges in a fastball outside, strike 3. That is the first K of the day for Griffin Green, 1 away. We'll bring up Dylan Phillips, who so far today has a hit and a ground out. Solid contact back in that second inning. And I mean, the Mariners have been barreling up the ball better on their hits in this game than they were in the first couple. But yeah, just a lot of soft contact, a lot of weak outs for Harwich against Brewster. And the venue here, obviously a Harwich home crowd, has not willed them to any runs so far. They trailed at 4-0 with Dylan Phillips at the plate. First pitch to him. That'll miss outside for ball 1.
Man, just to harp on the crowd a bit here, still a really solid showing here late into the game. Now bottom of the 7th inning. Typically we see it thin out a bit, but still pretty solid showing for Harwich.
Green's next offering. That'll miss upside. Count goes to 2-0 here on Dylan Phillips. Griffin Green's last appearance came against the Orleans Firebirds. He went 2 innings there, gave up no earned runs. 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 walk. And similar to what we saw out of the Brewster starter in Bryce Hubbard, it was a rough first outing for Griffin Green. Ever since then, he's looked pretty much unhittable.
And you get that with some guys who, first time coming into a league like this, they're going to be a bit nervous perhaps in that first start. Somebody gets to them and the game gets out of hand from there. But a lot of guys, it's a good show of character to see how they react.
This one's going to be chopped to first. It'll be scooped up over there on the corner as Thompson flips to his pitcher. And he dropped it. So a little bit of an awkward exchange there, and that's going to put a runner on first. It looked so routine that I made that classic mistake. I looked down, started to record the out in the book, but he's safe.
No, I mean, as did I. But if you're Harwich, you take the break there. You know, this is just what you need for Brewster. Is a really good chance to record an out on a guy who is a tough out at times. But for Harwich, now you have the door open here. It's just about opening it up even more, trying to get more guys on base.
He will now face Josh Hood, and that's the other interesting piece of all of this, is the first pitch in for a strike here, but the error recorded on the pitcher, so might be in the back of his mind a little bit here as he tries to settle in, although he does have a really good bounce-back pitch, gets out ahead of Josh Hood 0-1. Hood's been aggressive at the plate all night. Next pitch to him, misses outside, count even at 1 apiece.
And something I'll be watching here is just how Green reacts after that play. Sometimes when you have to field a ball like that, it can throw you as a pitcher off your groove, and especially when you end up causing an error and allowing a guy on base.
Next offering, Hood swings at this, takes it out into right center, falling fast, and that one is going to be misplayed and misjudged. They will have a chance to throw down to second base. Did they get him? Looks like they did. So a close play at second. That was awkward. It hung up just long enough that Phillips had to be cautious. Obviously, he didn't want to get caught napping. But that's ultimately a fly out to Lanzilli that he picks up, and the most awkward fielder's choice you'll see all year. Josh Hood in safely. Phillips records the second out at second.
Yeah, the thing that's especially tough for Phillips in that situation is that you don't just have to avoid a tag. You have to get to the base before that baseball does, which you're not always going to be able to do on an awkward play like that on a shallow fly.
First pitch in there for a called strike to Jordan Beck, who's the new batter for the Harwich Mariners. And that's a kind of good bounce back pitch for Griffin Green, as he's able to collect an out. And it was shallow enough out to right field, too. Obviously, if that pit's deep enough, Phillips reaches second base easily, but he had quite a ways to go to try to beat that throw. This pitch fouled away by Jordan Beck. Count goes 0-2.
And you mentioned it with Phillips not knowing whether or not to commit to going to second or hanging back towards first. He kind of had to make a decision on which one he was going to favor more, and obviously was expecting that ball to be caught and got caught out with too much ground to make up before he headed down to second.
And that's absolutely the right move by Phillips. You have to stay close to the bag. You don't want to get doubled off if that is caught. But again, just the kind of breaks the Mariners not able to catch so far today. 0-2. Fouled off again. We'll do it again. Really quickly, the book does close on Bryce Hubbard, who goes 6 complete innings. He gives up no runs on 3 hits, strikes out 4, and walks 1. Game now firmly in control of Griffin Green, who typically does go 1 or 2 innings for this team. May potentially even go 3, although plenty of all-star options to bring out of that bullpen for this Brewster Whitecap squad. Leading it here by 4. Home half of the 7th inning, 2 away. Jordan Beck at the dish, down 0-2. Pitch on the way. Fouled off again, off to the right side. Beck continuing to battle here.
Yeah, it's a good battle, and Beck's been putting in a lot of these at-bats recently, as a lot of these Mariners, and it's important to be able to find something you can drive now. You're beyond the point of just trying to really play for contact, play for small ball. You're down 4 runs. You're running out of outs here. You want to try to get a couple bases with every at-bat.
So the count still 0-2 here on Jordan Beck. Runner on first here for the Harwich Mariners, looking for something, anything to get them some momentum. This pitch awfully close on the outside part of the plate, but that'll be taken for ball 1.
That's a nice take by Beck. That thing was awfully close, and with the way that Hubbard's been throwing some of these pitches, you would almost expect that one to have been caught in the zone, but a nice eye, able to lay off of it and draw his first ball.
Hubbard, another solid righty out of the bullpen here for the Brewster Whitecaps. 1-2. Swung on, tipped back into the glove, strike 3 effectively. Jordan Beck becomes the second strikeout victim of the day for Griffin Green, and Harwich goes quietly into the 8th. It's a 4-0 lead for the Whitecaps when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Back to baseball here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley. Tim getting into the 7th inning stretch about a half an inning too late, but getting it in here.
Try to stay limber, Tyler.
Yep.
It's important.
Have to here in the broadcast booth. Got to stay on your toes. Never know what you're going to see. Another inning of work coming up here for Cam Schlittler. He will face off against the Top three in the lineup for the Brewster Whitecaps: Alex Freeland, Spencer Jones, and Chris Lanzilli. And we talked a lot about what might be in store for the Mariners if they could find a way to win this game. But on the other side of that, this could also be a big one for Brewster. They get a victory here, they would have the season series against the Mariners regardless of what happens in those next two games. They would also hold a game-and-a-half lead over the M's for the top spot in the East as this ball is swung on and fouled away back towards that Whitecaps bullpen.
No, it would be an especially good look for them. And again, you mentioned how YD earlier tonight was unable to pick up a win. Certainly would not want to prematurely rule out any kind of run they could make, so especially helpful for them to be able to gain 2 more points against YD as well to help lock up that playoff spot that is yet to be claimed.
Schlittler ahead in the count here, 0-2. Still looking for his first strikeout of the day. That will not be it as it's spiked in the dirt. No offer there from Alex Freeland. We kind of alluded to it earlier. Regardless of whether Harwich can find a way to come from behind and pull this off or not, tomorrow's game is a really big one as they'll be playing against a YD Red Sox team that is currently 7 points behind them in the standings. But those early wins for YD, a team that Harwich struggled with early in the season, could make things interesting down the stretch if the Red Sox can put together a run. Here's a swing and a miss as Alex Freeland tried to put that one to the moon. Comes up empty. First strikeout of the day for Cam Schlittler, 1 away for Spencer Jones.
And I like the approach we've had here from Schlittler over this last inning and a third. You know, had a really solid bounce back 7th inning after a bit of a tough 6th inning and getting right back at it here in the 8th with a leadoff strikeout.
Yeah, and especially after he recorded a quick out, he hit Curtis Byrne, and that's when you really start to wonder, after a tough inning, you hit a guy with 1 out, how are you going to respond? He responded well. He got a line out from Mac Bingham. He got a fly out from Trey Falcini. And now with 1 away in the inning after a strikeout, he's facing Spencer Jones. Gets a strike on the first pitch. The righty and Cam Schlittler sets and fires. Breaking ball, check swing. Looked like he went. He certainly did. Count goes 0-2.
Yeah, it's a nice pitch. 79 miles an hour. Just float that one just on the outside part of the plate, and too juicy for a guy like Spencer Jones to hold off on it.
And actually, quick correction, there was a pinch hitter. That's on me. I missed that entirely. But they sent Tyler Dellerman to the plate instead of Alex Freeland. This was Spencer Jones, and Jones down looking. So back-to-back strikeouts any way you want to slice it. And Cam Schlittler looking awfully good here.
He has. You know, we just mentioned it. Really nice bounce-back job here so far these last 2 innings from Schlittler.
So now he will face Chris Lanzilli, who was hit by a pitch, came around to score on the home run back in that 6th inning. First pitch to him, he's swinging at it, chops that foul towards the Harwich dugout. Mentioned Lanzilli, hit just above 300 for the Mariners back in 2019. Helped the team make a run all the way to the championship series. But ultimately, the Mariners came up on the short end of the stick to the Katuitt Cavaliers. And boy, Schlittler not messing around here. He's ahead 0-2 again.
Yeah, pretty quick pace here from Schlittler. Trying to keep batters off balance, and that's an important thing to be able to do. This is second time Lanzilli has seen Schlittler. Of course, you'll remember his last meeting with him with that bruise currently on his right forearm.
Wonder if that might affect him here as he's choked up a bit on the bat with a 2-strike count. Fouls this away. Right back to the Mariners bat boys. Count stays at 0-2. And right into the hand of our very own Matt Fisher. Team photographer down there in the camera well with a couple of the other Cape League veterans. The 0-2. Fouled off again. We'll do it again. Good battle here by Chris Lanzilli. And again, it was surprising to see Chris Lanzilli not go in the 2021 MLB draft. Mentioned some of the big numbers he had put up, not only during the Cape League season, but also for Wake Forest, as he'll take ball 1 here. Good stop by Tatum Levens. And you look at the numbers during his final season at Wake Forest, a teammate, of course, of Brock Wilkin. Also a teammate of a guy who would get drafted later, and Bobby Seymour is the 1-2 pitches in there for a swing and a miss. Strike 3. Lanzilli down on strikes. And that will end the inning. 3 strikeouts. Great bounce back inning here for Cam Schlittler. We go to the home half of inning number 8. Harwich looking for runs when we come back here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Another inning of work coming up here for Griffin Green, the righty for the Brewster Whitecaps. He will face Max Cody, Zach Preisner, and Press Kavanaugh here for the Harwich Mariners, who are now down to their final 6 outs and have now gone 25 innings against the Brewster Whitecaps this season without scoring a single run. Brewster has just had Harwich's number, and that can be fine for almost anybody else in the league, but if this is a team you may potentially be facing in the Eastern Division Finals, if you want to call it that, this is a team you're going to have to find a way to put some runs up against. So these are some critical innings for the Mariners, as the first pitch is swung on and missed by Cody in the dirt for strike 1.
It really has been puzzling to see. Harwich just had so many difficulties in trying to hit these Brewster pitchers. And you remember that there's 2 more games this season against the Whitecaps, and you just have to wonder how those are going to go.
Next offering is going to be laced down the right field line, but foul. And yeah, I mean, you take a look at the team statistics this year, and this is a Harwich team. They've put up 150 runs this year. That leads the league. They're also the second place team in hits this year behind only the Bourne Braves. And they are up there in RBIs as well. Talking about a team that this season actually leads the league ahead of Bourne in RBIs this season as the 0-2 misses outside. Any offensive metric you want to look at, this Harwich team is sitting at or near the top of it, the lone exception being in home runs. But against the Brewster Whitecaps, just nothing this year for the Mariners. 9 hits, no runs, 25 innings, another strikeout here. Max Cody down on strikes, 3rd K of the day here for the hard-throwing righty in Griffin Green.
And Green's looked really nice since coming in relief of Bryce Hubbard. 3 strikeouts, and the only guys who have gotten on against him was the error that was committed by himself, granted, over at first, that allowed Phillips to get on base, and the ball that dropped on Josh Hood's blooper out to right field that ended up helping Phillips get thrown out at second.
Yeah, and again, I mean, the soft contact has helped Harwich out. They've really only barreled the ball up a couple of times in this one. That Dylan Phillips single comes to mind, as this next pitch will miss upstairs. But that's kind of been the theme, really, with their games against Brewster. Part of the reason that the Whitecaps have been so lethal, it's not these high strikeout numbers. It's the fact that they don't put anybody on base for free. I believe in that first meeting between the Mariners and Whitecaps, there was 1 hit batter, no walks. And I'm not even 100% sure. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers if that hit batter came in that game or the other. But the point is, Brewster doesn't really give you a lot to work with. You kind of have to figure it out on your own. And so far this year, that's been a struggle for the Mariners, looking to turn it around. Patient at bat here so far for Zach Preisner, who's ahead 3-0, and it's a 4-pitch walk. So Zach Preisner reaches base safely. Just as I mentioned, they don't give you a whole lot to work with. The Whitecaps put Preisner on with 1 away, and here comes the top of the order, starting with Press Kavanaugh.
No, and you're not wrong in that. I mean, second in the league in regards to allowing walks at just 73, but And of course, fortunate there for Preisner, able to get on base, and you have to start producing now if you're Harwich. You want Kavanaugh to be able to do what he's done, and you have 4 straight All-Stars who are coming up here with just 1 out. This has to be go time if you're the Mariners.
Yeah, this really does seem like there has to be a heightened sense of urgency here. You got a runner on first, only 1 away in the inning, and undoubtedly the best part of the lineup due up here. Kavanaugh, Levens, Wilkin, Putz, if you can get to him, Dylan Phillips. Plenty of big bats for the Mariners, and this is the part of the order, again, that's been producing big over these last couple of weeks. This pitch misses upstairs. That's now 6 consecutive pitches outside of the zone. That's not only going to chase Curtis Byrne out to have a word with his pitcher, it's also going to chase the manager and Jamie Shevchuk out. He wants to have a word. Actually, it looks like that's actually the pitching coach. Either way, somebody coming out to have a word with him. In case you're curious, here's what the remaining schedule for the Harwich Mariners looks like. Again, only 8 games remain after this one. Talking about a game tomorrow against the YD Red Sox right back here at White House Field. That game will get started at 6:30 p.m. Then the final game against a Western opponent where Harwich has done very well. They'll take on the Falmouth Commodores on the road on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then it's a steady diet of the East. They'll finish their year out with Chatham, Brewster, Orleans, and Chatham. At the beginning of the year, that looked like a pretty tough stretch, talking about the perennial blue bloods in the East. But at this point, the only 2 teams in the Eastern Division with losing records.
Yeah, and if you're Harwich, you have to feel good about how that end of the season is looking for you, but you're not going to feel good unless you're able to get a few wins here against this Brewster team going into the playoffs, because it's really almost an expectation at this point for Harwich to be able to handle teams like Orleans and Chatham, but Brewster is still the one big question mark they have.
And you don't want to set that. You don't want to allow the precedent that's already been set of you struggling offensively against a team like this to continue, as Kavanaugh finally gets a strike. Count goes here to 3-1. We've already talked about the kind of contingency plan, so to speak, if Harwich can't find a way to dig themselves out. That being said, if the Mariners can come back and win this game, that gives you a whirlwind of momentum as Kavanaugh takes this one towards the right side. A sliding stop. Throw to first. It's going to be close, but he got him. So press Kavanaugh for all that work. A better play there by Freeland, who slides to his left, scoops it up, and delivers a strike to Thompson at first. 2 away in the inning.
I mean, that's just some heads-up infielding from Freeland. A really nice dive to his left to be able to stop that ball. If you press Kavanaugh, frustrating there. You're not able to get the hit, and you're not able to stay on base and keep it just a 1-out situation here. But you do move the runner up in Preisner 90 feet. So now 1 in scoring position.
And if Press Kavanaugh wasn't beating that throw down the line, nobody on this Mariners roster, save for maybe Jake Lazaro, was going to do that. So that does bring up Tatum Levens, looking to keep the inning alive with 2 away. The Mariners do have a runner in scoring position. You wonder if Harwich can just get 1 run against the Whitecaps, what that might open up for them in the future. As Levens swings through this, comes up empty. Count goes to 0-1. Of course, you do have Brock Wilkin on deck, followed by Carter Putz, your 2 RBI leaders on the team. Coming up next, if you can find a way to get it to those guys with a couple of dudes on base. Griffin Green's 0-1. That'll miss up and away. Count even at 1 apiece here.
And Harwich, no stranger to 2-out offense. Situations that they've been in all season long where they've been able to put runs across.
Certainly, and that's something that's really picked up here for the Mariners over the course of these last 2 or 3 weeks. The team, again, they got off to a bit of a slow start, but since then they are 12-3-3 in the team's last 18 games. They have ripped off an unreal stretch. Rival only by that of the Whitecaps, who are 7-1-1 in their last 9. Green sets. Checks the runner back to second. The 1-1 pitch. And that one's going to get down out in the outfield. That's going to get down in right center, and that will score a run. It rolls to the fence, completely misplayed by Lanzilli. Levens will hold up at second base, but the Mariners, after 25 scoreless innings, finally able to get something on the board. It's a 4-1 ball game, and here comes Brock Wilkin.
It was really an interesting ball that somehow got down. I mean, it obviously got down in the outfield, but somehow got through that gap in right center. I mean, just perfect placement. Really difficult for either Jones or Lanzilli to stride over and stop that thing before it got back to the backstop. And I mean, I think regardless of whether or not they had been able to stop that ball, you were going to have a guy in Zach Preisner who's going to be able to round the bases pretty quickly. So some fortune here for the Mariners. Now you get a run across, and you have some more guys who know how to hit coming up to bat.
Yep, and again, anything is possible when you've got these guys at the plate. First pitch to Wilkin. Called strike on the outside part of the plate. Looks like they're going to rule that a clean double here for Tatum Levens. Count goes to 0-1 here on Brock Wilkin. Again, this is where Wilkin's been doing his damage this season. Taking a look at some of the extended numbers here for him. Leads the team with 24 RBIs. So watch that low for ball one. He leads the team with 6 home runs. Leads the team with 34 hits. Leads the team with 21 runs scored. Unfortunately, also does lead the team with 32 strikeouts, which is where he has to be careful here against a guy in Griffin Green who already has 3 of them. The 1-1. Big swing and a miss at a pitch in the dirt. Wilkin falls behind 1-2. On the other side of that, Wilkin has been walked quite a bit this year, but you get the feeling nobody in this Brewster bullpen is afraid of anybody in this league. We've seen them go at the guys in the Byrne lineup. They've certainly gone at the guys in the Harwich lineup, and now Griffin Green is 1 strike away from putting this inning to bed. Looks the runner back to second, the 1-2. Misses outside. Wilkin will get another chance here.
It's a good take by Wilkin. We've seen it at times where on these breaking balls on the outside part of the zone, he'll reach after them, especially if he knows he has to be defensive. But nice job taking that one on the outside, just missing. Now a 2-2 count.
Harwich trailing it by 3. Biggest spot in the game right now for the M's. The 2-2. That'll miss down and away. Full count worked here by Wilkin. Mentioned he does also lead the team in walks, 18 of them so far this season. Best on best here, Griffin Green, one of the better guys in this bullpen for the Brewster Whitecaps, facing Brock Wilkin, the 19-year-old phenom out of Wake Forest. Here comes the payoff pitch. And that'll miss low. Ball 4. Brock Wilkin works his way back from down 1-2 to standing on first base, and here comes Carter Putz.
Just a really solid at-bat there to finish it out for Brock Wilkin. I mentioned it a moment ago with how he took that pitch off speed on the outside part of the plate. He did that 3 straight times when he had 2 strikes against him. That is a really mature at-bat from Wilkin, who's able to lay off each of those and get on base.
So incredibly tough at the plate, and he has been a tough out all season long. Here comes a guy who's been doing just as well in Carter Putz, who does represent, for what it's worth, the tying run. Mariners scored their first run in inning number 26 against these Brewster Whitecaps. Do they have a few more in them? First pitch taken for a called strike. Count goes to 0-1. There is an arm up and warming, a southpaw out in the Whitecaps bullpen. You wonder how long the leash is for Griffin Green. Putz digs in from that righty's batter's box. The 0-1. Swung on, tipped foul, and Putz falls behind 0-2.
Yeah, he liked what he saw there. 89 miles an hour on the lower outside part of the plate. He was able to get a piece of it, but could not barrel it up, and it falls behind here, 0-2.
Carter Putz, 12 RBIs in his own right, has been one of the best situational hitters for the Harwich Mariners. Most of his empty at-bats have come with nobody on. This is where he typically tightens up, but he is down 0-2. He'll have to be awfully protective. Griffin Green comes set. Mariners trailing by 3. The 0-2. That'll miss up and outside, similar to what we saw out of Wilkin. Putz lays off. Count goes to 1-2.
And if you're Green, it gets to a point where, yes, you're ahead in the count, and you can decide a bit more. You can be a little more picky with your pitches, but you just got to go after guys. You can't start putting guys on base for free.
And notably, every single pitch he's tried to put these guys out with has been up and outside. See if he tries a different spot. The 1-2. Swung on and missed, and that will do it for the inning. Carter Putz becomes the 4th strikeout victim of the game for Griffin Green, and the Mariners strand 2. They do strike for 1, but still trail it 4-1 here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back to White House Field as we head to inning number 9. The Harwich Mariners trailing at 4-1 here to the Brewster Whitecaps. Cam Schlittler being left out there for another inning of work, and why not? He came back and struck out the side and the top 3 guys in this Whitecaps lineup. He'll face the heart of the order here in Jake Thompson, who took him deep for that 3-run home run, Tony Bullard and Chad Castillo. And Harwich needs some quick outs here. You want to try to get your offense back up as quickly as possible. The Mariners down to their final 3 outs, but this does feel like a big half inning. Keep the deficit to 4. Give yourself a chance.
Yeah, and you do have to like Schlittler coming back out here for another inning of work. A guy who's used to a starter's amount of innings, working on his 4th inning here, and a nice bounce back 7th and 8th inning from him.
So here we go. Schlittler back out to face Jake Thompson. Of course, last time up, Thompson hit that 3-run shot over the right field fence. He'll take strike 1 here. And that half inning, the only of the game for the Whitecaps to hold any offense. The 0-1, chopped to short. Preisner coming in, scoops it up, turns, throws to first in time, 1 away.
And there you go. If you're Harwich, another quick out. That's what it's been each of the last 3 innings. First guy who's been able to be retired each of the last couple innings since Schlittler's been in. First guys each gotten out, and it's served Harwich well, of course, save for that 6th.
That will bring up Tony Bullard, who so far in this game is 0 for 3. Strikeout, a ground out, and a flyout. He'll be facing Cam Schlittler for the 2nd time today. His flyout to right ended that 6th inning. First pitch, in there for a called strike. Take one last look here at our out-of-town scoreboard. The Hyannis Harbor Hawks complete a victory over the Kentucky Cavaliers 15-5. I believe they still have a winning record in the course of their last 7 as this one's crossed for a called strike. Again, Wareham gets a 12-2 victory over the YD Red Sox, so while Harwich may not gain any ground on the Whitecaps, they won't lose any ground on the Red Sox either, which is important. A couple other games going on right now. The Orleans Firebirds up 6-0 on the Bourne Braves. Actually, correction, I refreshed. 6-0 has become 6-4 in the bottom of the 7th. Bourne not out of any game, regardless of what the score may be, but if the Braves cannot come back and win, they would fall back-to-back for the first time this season. That's crazy to think about.
And they're going to be facing a tough stretch here where they may be losing one of their guys in Braylon Wimmer down the stretch.
Certainly could. Schlittler misses low. That'll make it a 2-2 count here. And then the final game in the top of the 9th, the Falmouth Commodores closing in on losing to the Chatham Anglers. Just a couple outs left to get in that one for the Anglers. They lead it 3-2-1. Here comes the 2-2. And that is going to be taken at short. Preisner with a diving catch. And that is the 2nd out of the inning.
Solid stuff from Preisner so far this half inning. Nice ground out where he's able to make a nice grab and then a diving catch over to his left. Some really solid stuff exactly when you need it. You cannot let anything get on base here if you're Harwich.
Timely defense for a guy who's made a case as one of the better defensive shortstops in the CCBL this year. Comes up with a couple of big plays, and now the Mariners looking for one more out. Chad Castillo coming to the plate. Pitch misses outside. Count goes to 1-0. 1-0 misses upstairs. 2 balls, no strikes here to Castillo, who has reached on a walk. He is 0 for 2 with a pair of groundouts in this one. It's kind of remained a pitcher's duel all game with the exception of that 6th inning. 2-0 swung on and missed. Count goes 2-1.
Yeah, you say it. I've been thinking that really all game long. I mean, we've only seen 2 pitchers from either team, something we're not really used to seeing from both sides.
Yeah, typically you see anywhere between 3, or if you're playing the YD Red Sox, upwards of 7 pitchers coming into a Cape League game, as this is a cross for a 2-2. But we know for a fact that the Mariners have used 2 guys that are starters, so a couple of guys that are used to going longer into games, and after a really good stretched out 6-inning performance from Hubbard, things looking good there as well. Breaking out the 9-iron, swinging at one that skipped about 1.5 feet in front of home plate here is Chad Castillo. They'll check it down to first. It's in time. The 4th strikeout of the day here for Cam Schlittler. He comes in and gets his job done. Harwich trails it by 3. We'll take a break. When we come back, the Mariners with one last shot to make it a ball game here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. Welcome back one last time here to White House Field. Tyler Henry alongside Tim Foley as we get set for the bottom of the ninth. For the Harwich Mariners, it will be Dylan Phillips, Josh Hood, and Jordan Beck, the three due up. And they will have a tough task facing them as Dale Stanovich checks into the game here for the Brewster Whitecaps, an all-star in his own respect and a guy who has looked virtually unhittable this year. Numbers look like this for him. Through his his 9 appearances, he has collected 4 saves, pitched 12 innings. He has given up just 1 earned run on 7 hits, good enough for a .75 ERA. He has struck out 20. He has walked just 5. He will face, as we mentioned, Phillips, Hood, and Beck. And just a quick bookkeeping note, the day is done for Cam Schlittler with no extra innings here in the CCBL this year. He goes 4 complete innings, gives up 4 runs on 2 hits, walks 1, and strikes out 3. Day is also done for Griffin Green, who goes 2 innings, gives up 1 run on 1 hit, strikes out 4, and walks 2. First pitch comes inside, just about hits Dylan Phillips, who wants to take a second to think things over here. And if you're the Mariners, just trying to string some hits together here against a Whitecaps team that has given up just the 1 run through these 3 games.
You mentioned it, Tyler. Tough task here in Stanovich, as that one misses outside for ball 2. I mean, he's given up less hits than games he's appeared in. 9 appearances, 7 hits. He's really been excellent. It's going to be a tough task.
Yep, the sophomore from Rutgers, standing in at 5'11", just 175, but he has had good command of his stuff. As here he falls behind Dylan Phillips 3-0, and you hear the Harwich bench start to get into it. The fans have cleared out quite a bit here at White House Field, certainly more than what we're used to seeing. But there is still a bit of a Harwich faithful here on hand at White House Field. Stanovich sets the 3-0. Backing out of the box, taken all the way there is Phillips. It's across for a strike.
Yeah, had no intentions on swinging on that pitch.
Stanovich was a transfer from Marshall where he redshirted but did not play. He'll get another strike across. Phillips wanted to look at one, and, well, now he'll have to take the bat off the shoulder. Count goes to 3-2.
Yeah, he's going to take a moment here as time called to think about it. He was looking good ahead in the count 3-0, but 2 quick takes, and now he's got to get real defensive here.
Stanovich sets. He's been lights out all year. Fouled away here. Good fight by Dylan Phillips. Stanovich appeared in 17 games at Rutgers. He led the team and was ranked 6th in the conference in the Big Ten with 5 saves. Led the staff with a 3.13 ERA and 30 strikeouts. Had a team best 11.74 punch-outs, but it may not matter as Phillips walks his way onto first here. And that will bring up Josh Hood.
I mean, that's the start you want if you're Harwich. You want to give these guys towards the back half of the lineup as much opportunity as possible, as we're going to have a pinch runner here.
Yep, it'll be Jake Lazaro coming in for Dylan Phillips. It's kind of the role that he's settled into here, and he represents an important run, albeit not the tying run. That is represented by Jordan Beck standing in the on-deck circle. Harwich still has some work to do. But they do have Jake Lazaro standing in right now for Dylan Phillips. First pitch to Hood. Laced back into the Brewster dugout. Look out. Hopefully everybody okay there. Unlike a lot of the fields, there is some coverage. But that thing just found the crack there in the dugout, and looks like everybody's okay. That's the important thing right now. The count is 0-1 here on Josh Hood, who is looking for his first hit of the day. He is 0 for 3. Reached on that odd fielder's choice back in inning number 7. Hitting with a runner on first, the same runner on first, in fact, in Dylan Phillips. He takes a ball. Count goes even at 1-1. Plenty of speed for Lazaro, but you wonder if Harwich would risk sending him as Hood tried to make it a 1-run ball game. Comes up empty. Count goes to 1-2.
Yeah, Harwich really hasn't tested the arm of catcher Curtis Byrne all night long, and I'm not sure if this is exactly the time with each of your 3 outs being very valuable here.
1-2 pitch, swung on and missed. Hood goes down for strikeout number 1 here. And that'll be the first out of the inning here for Jordan Beck. Yeah, after having 3 guys picked off yesterday, you get the feeling Harwich is probably not too eager to try to send a guy even with the kind of speed that Jake Lazaro has. And now you're looking at the bottom three in the order. Jordan Beck, Max Cody, Zach Preisner, if they can get to him. Three very respectable hitters, but three guys facing one of the best closers in the CCBL, one of the 5 All-Stars on this Brewster Whitecaps team, and he delivers strike one here to Jordan Beck. One interesting note on Stanovich, a really solid multi-sport athlete. Racked up 1,500 rushing yards and 24 touchdowns his senior year on the gridiron. Don't see a lot of guys with that kind of athletic talent that then walk into the best baseball league in the country for collegiate players and put up numbers like this.
Interesting. Usually you'll see a pitcher converted to a quarterback, generally.
Sometimes a safety, not typically a running back. This one's chopped foul down that first base line. Count goes to 1-2.
So working with a 5'11" frame, stout.
Got that low center of gravity.
Exactly.
Right now trying to use all of that to get out number 2 on Jordan Beck, who today is 0 for 3. Beck stands back in. 1-2 the count. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. That is the second strikeout of the day for Stanovich. 2 away.
And ever since allowing that first walk to Dylan Phillips, I mean, he's looked really excellent with back-to-back strikeouts here to each Hood and Beck. It's a tall task now. Harwich in need of some 2-out offense in order to come back and at least tie this game.
Yep, Mariners down to their final out here, trailing it by 3, facing one of the better closers in the CCBL. Max Cody comes to the dish, 1 for 3 today. Had a single back in the 5th inning. Nobody holding the runner on first. Brewster, obviously not concerned about the run represented by Jake Lazaro that would still leave them with a 2-run lead, focused exclusively on getting Max Cody here. So your typical traditional defensive setup here with 2 away. No shift on anywhere on the field. The 1-0. Chopped down the third base line. It's going to be misplayed by Bullard. He steps up, throws to first, airmails it. It's going to get by him. Lazaro's going to take third, and that's going to allow Cody to go ahead and take second. Everybody turns and takes a look, and this just got a whole lot more interesting as Harwich now has second and third, and the tying run at the plate represented in Zach Preisner.
Well, for Brewster, that's about as disastrous as that play could have gone, as the third baseman in Tony Bullard, he made the mistake initially on trying to field the ball and then tried to overcompensate instead of just cutting his losses and allowing the runners to advance to first and second, airmailing the first baseman and making things, as you put it, Tyler, a lot more interesting here with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th.
And I just saw Jamie Shevchuk signal out to the bullpen. Obviously, there's nobody up and warming. They have their closer in the game right now. They're not going to bring anybody else in, especially not now, looking for just one more out. But, man, I'll tell you what, the Harwich dugout's into it. The spectators that have stuck around are into it. And how about this opportunity coming up here for Zach Preisner, who so far today does not have a hit. He did reach on a walk and came around to score the only run of the day for the Mariners. Other than that, 2 strikeouts. So he is now hitting in a monstrous spot with Jake Lazaro standing on third base. He's got Cody standing on second, ruled a single and an error for Max Cody. And here comes the Notre Dame product, looking to get the Mariners one step closer. In case you're wondering, yes, Zach Preisner does have 1 home run this year. First pitch to him. Call it strike. That didn't look anywhere in the same zip code as the strike zone.
We've seen a lot of pitches in that same spot tonight, and that weren't called strikes.
So Preisner's going to have to be cautious here. He falls behind 0-1. Stanovich sets, takes a long look in, brings home the pitch. Preisner hits this one. A jumping Freeland can't get it. That's going to score 2. Preisner brings it to a 1-run game just over the leather of Freeland at second, and things continue to get intriguing as now the Mariners have the top of the order due up. Press Kavanaugh coming to the plate next.
I mean, that's the at-bat of the season if you're Zach Preisner. Never mind the home run he hit earlier in the year. To be able to come in a spot in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, 2 in scoring position, and to be able to drive them home and now set it up for one of the best hitters in the Cape this season, Press Kavanaugh, to try and drive you around. He's done a really great service to your team here in this inning.
Even if all the Mariners can find a way to do here is salvage a tie, that's a huge victory. As they trailed this one 4-0 going into the 8th inning. They picked up 1 run there. And Press Kavanaugh not too happy about that call. That was a lot closer than the one we were talking about during Preisner's at bat, but he'll have to be careful here. Zach Preisner on first base does represent the tying run. Press Kavanaugh now represents the go-ahead. The 0-1. Big swing and a miss. And Kavanaugh falls behind here 0-2.
And he really wants it too. Especially with that last swing, the way he was able to unleash that thing, he really wanted to get a piece of that. But a nice pitch from Stanovich up high at 94.
Kavanaugh's been one of the best contact hitters in this lineup all season long. He leads the team batting .365. Does he have a big hit in him? Fouls it away. Staying alive here is Press Kavanaugh.
I mean, just because he's behind in the count right now, 0-2, does not mean we may see a lengthy at-bat here. This is a guy who knows how to foul off pitches at will.
He has certainly worked a number of very long at-bats this year. Again, for Stanovich, he had given up just 1 earned run, just 2 total runs at any point this year. He's doubled that game, or doubled that total here in this inning. Kavanaugh swings through it, and that will do it. A strikeout to end the game. Harwich makes it interesting, but cannot get that ever-elusive victory over the Brewster Whitecaps. We'll step away. When we come back, we'll be here to wrap it up. You're watching here on the Harwich Mariners YouTube network. last time.